What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 43 of C4SVillains. I am your host JB and I am here as always with the Council of Villains, my boys Vash and Steve, and we are joined by a very special guest, returning guest, Chris Conkling. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for a Hawkeye episode 4 spoilers discussion.
Thanks for having me back. I'm so excited to be back to talk to you guys. It's been a little while, especially since Vash and I have been on a show together. This is very exciting.
That is a fact, and I'm just happy to be back on the show. And consistently, you know, the life in production sometimes takes you away, or sometimes it gives you half days because people be breaking their foot out here. So, you know, I love it. I'm here, being consistently. Except last night, I was just way too tired. But that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you said you worked 30 hours in 2 days. I would definitely be out of it. There's no way.
I was so beat. I got home with energy, but then 2 hours later, like, damn, the show's in 30 minutes. I can't do it. I got no energy. Like, hey guys, can you do without me? I was so out of it. But damn, it feels good to be here because we're talking about Hawkeye and a couple other topics that's gonna be interesting to discuss. I can't wait.
Got some
and also
nice
Chris is
topics.
here. No lie, when James told us this past weekend, like, yo, we're gonna have Chris as a guest. I was like, all right, cool. And then like a day later, I was like, shit, we got Chris as a guest.
Yeah, bro.
I was so excited. It just settled in. I was like, damn, I miss Chris. I haven't had a conversation. And then I look at the last time I spoke to him in the DM was like a month ago. But then in a panel, in actual show, was back in July. I'm like, damn, like
No
it's
way.
been
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like I think last one was June or July. So I'm like, it was back so long ago.
That when y'all did the Among Us thing, when we did the Among Us group thing?
Correct.
Hey, wow. That was a long time ago. Speaking of which, dude, we got to do that again.
Oh,
Among
definitely
Us
do.
just got a ton of updates, and I've been
Oh, yeah.
watching people play it. It is insane now.
Okay.
So I'm thinking a Villains Among Us game needs to happen sometime soon.
Say less.
I'm down for that.
That'd be lots of fun.
Yeah, definitely down for that. Before we jump into the news topics, Chris, why don't you tell the people what Pop-O-Holics is working on this month? I know you guys were doing a Spidey month, right?
Yeah, Spidey-cember. The whole month, Pop-O-Holics is talking about all the Spider-Man content that we've yet to cover. So we have already talked about The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This coming Wednesday, we're going to be talking about Into the Spider-Verse. Both of those films are drastically different in quality. But the Amazing Spider-Man episodes were still fun to talk about. And look forward to the Into the Spider-Verse episode.
And
then finally, at the end of the month, of course, we're doing all of this in honor of No Way Home coming out. So we're going to have our review of No Way Home as soon as we get to see that movie.
Yeah, I am very excited for No Way Home. For you guys watching right now, please check out Chris's article on the website. Chris did a non-spoiler review of Spider-Man One More Day. Definitely check that out before you watch Spider-Man No Way Home. And on the topic of that movie, I've been asking everyone. So Chris, I'm going to ask you, on air, live, do you think Andrew and Toby are in the movie? We talk about this like almost every week now.
We talk about it a lot. Yes, they're definitely going to be in the movie. Do I want them to be in the movie? James knows my answer. Not really. But I am excited to potentially see these 3 iterations of Spider-Man interacting with one another on the screen. Yeah, I'm saying it now. I think they're definitely going to be in the movie. You, James, don't think they're going to be in the movie, right?
Correct, he don't.
No. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I really, really do. I hope I'm wrong because I think it would be amazing to have the 3 of them, no pun intended, to have the 3 of them standing next to each other. but like I just don't think they're in the movie at all. I really,
See,
really
I
don't.
hope that you're right. So you hope that I'm right, and I hope that you're right. I guess we'll see on the 16th.
Yeah,
If
man,
they're-
dude, we're
if
so
they're
close.
in the movie. At the very end credit, like not the cut credits, but the one at the very end, they're gonna do pointing at each other.
So post credit right there, little nice post
Yeah,
credit.
they're gonna.
There's no
definitely-
way, dude.
They're gonna
if
point at each other. They're gonna
if
do
they
that.
are in this movie, first of all, I would love that, Steve. That would be amazing. If they just did the Spider-Man pointing meme as a gag,
I hope they do.
as
I
a
hope they do.
post-credit scene, all of us for the last 3 years have been like, Toby and Andrew are in this movie. Like, they're definitely going to be in this fucking movie. And then if they troll all of us, like almost like the Homecoming end credit scene with Captain America talking about patience and sometimes how it leads to nothing. Like, I could see John Watts maybe doing that with a Spider-Man pointing meme post-credit scene.
that'd be
awesome.
hilarious.
Then they're not in the movie at all, and then at the very end, they're just
Be like, wait, you're Peter.
What?
They've been looking for you. Wait,
Wait,
Peter.
you're gonna be in the movie. No, you're gonna be in the movie. Oh, you're gonna be in the movie. No, that would be hilarious.
They pop in and they're just like, what did we miss?
I thought you were gonna be in the movie. No, I thought you. That would be hilarious. That would be funny.
That would be awesome. All
Yeah,
right, I'm in for that.
I
But
talked about it. I talked about
guarantee
it
they're going to
briefly.
be in the main movie.
I talked about it briefly on Anime Lately last night, but it's like one of the many things that leads me to believe that they're not in it is we can't just automatically assume that these versions of these villains are even from Andrew and Toby's universe, right? Because the Electro that we get is not from Andrew's universe. Yes, we have Willem Dafoe, and I can't remember the actor's name that plays Sandman, and Lizard. Yes, they're played by the same people, but we know the multiverse. We all look the same, but we're different in each universe. So I think they just brought them back as like really cool like homages and Easter eggs, but I think
Kind
they're
of
all
like,
from
the Quicksilver
completely
thing.
yeah. But I think
I
they're
would dig
all
that.
from completely different places in the multiverse. But again, we'll see, man. I'm tired of talking about it at this point. Like I'm just ready to see the movie, and I hope it's as awesome as everyone wants it to be.
Am
Man.
I allowed to talk about some clips that I've seen, like official TV spots?
Oh,
not
this
like
is careful for
behind-the-scenes
spoilers,
shit?
bro. Do it.
Yeah,
So
just
the only reason I push back a little bit against them not being the exact villains from those other films, and you and I talked about this a little bit over text messaging, but in a new TV spot, Electro has a ridiculous line where he's like, "If it isn't my old friend Spider-Man," like an allusion to like how he was obsessed with Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and thought that they were like best friends. And then in a new clip that came out today, as soon as Doc Ock says like, "Hello, Peter," there's another line where he's like, "Where's my machine?" So he's kind of still in that mindset where like he had built this giant machine like he did in Spider-Man 2, and now he can't find it, and he's assuming that Peter's like hidden it from him or done something to it. So that's the only reason why I'm like, they might be those exact people.
So,
But I would prefer variants. I think variants would be cool.
So I'll push back on that too. And they would have to explain how he comes back to life, right? Because we
Right.
can only assume that he died at the end of Spider-Man 2, and it still could be another variant, but their universe was just really close to Toby's universe to where they
That's true.
still were, you know? Because it's like, well, he was dead, so are we really gonna take time in this movie to explain how he wasn't dead? They're not, because he's from a completely different universe.
or retcon. Movies
Yeah.
do that. It's been done. Remember how Kevin Feige said the person in Iron Man 2 they saved the little boy, that was Peter Parker. So they
Right.
do retcon little small things. They try to put those little Easter eggs.
I mean, I wouldn't even call that a retcon, because I mean it was just a random kid, and then they gave further development to that kid. This would be literally taking something that happened and then changing it completely. So I wouldn't even call that a retcon, really.
I mean,
True.
couldn't you say that to your same point? Couldn't you say that Toby and Andrew Garfield would be variants of other Spider-Mans as well?
Correct.
True.
It just depends who is the 616 main universe. Is it Tom or
Tom.
is it Toby?
I mean,
Yeah,
it would
I
be
think
Tom.
the MCU is technically the
It's
616.
Tom. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's Tom. So it just depends on which others Andrew and everything is, which universe they're from. Like, I'm curious to see once we see these variants of Spider-Man, Andrew, Toby, if they are real,
Yeah.
are they gonna actually? Is Doctor Strange gonna say, "Oh, he's from Earth 618," or if he's from Like, are they gonna actually give a number as an Easter egg
Give 'em
from the
labels.
comics? Yeah, like, are we gonna get that, or is that when we're gonna get it in the Multiverse of Madness? So I'm curious to know, are we gonna hear it in this movie or in the following one?
I'm
No
sure
matter
there'll be
what
some
happens,
kind.
I'm excited for the 16th.
Right, right.
Yeah,
It's
not
gonna
just
be
the
Great,
very-
it's good. That's all. I just want it to be
It-
good. Don't be worse than Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's all I ask. You know,
Yeesh.
you could be bad, but don't be the worst Spider-Man movie.
Yes.
It's gonna be very interesting on next Friday's show, because for those that don't know or don't remember hearing it last week, we're gonna have our Spider-Man spoiler review on the 20th. So it's gonna be very interesting on that Friday, because James has seen already. I'm not sure if Steve will see it by
Yeah,
then.
I'll see it by
So
then.
so Steve was so I'm the only one that's gonna be out of the loop of anything. So I'm gonna just be like, if there's any Spider-Man news or box office, I'm gonna be like, it's gonna be such a hard show to do, because I'm not gonna be on no
I
social
mean, we
media
won't talk
either.
about it at all. You know,
Yeah.
I won't
Dude,
allude to it.
shut
No
off.
non-spoiler.
All social media. Turn it off starting the 13th. That's the date of the premiere. So like,
Yeah, I know.
delete
Trust me,
every social media app.
On that Monday,
Yeah.
We
and
just
I-
won't talk to each other.
Trust me, on that Monday, I'm not gonna be on it. If people want to contact me, use my WhatsApp, use Discord, or use regular phone message. That's it. So if James had things to tell to the team, I'll be like, yo, can you just tell it on the Facebook Messenger? You know,
I
to the
won't say
relay?
anything at all.
Vash
we won't.
has
We won't
purchased
talk
and
until
set
Monday.
up a landline in his new apartment specifically for the week that Spider-Man No Way Home's coming out. If you want to reach out to him, he'll hand out the number to the landline, and you can reach him there.
Man, it's just that Saturday. I've got to wait until Saturday at 2 o'clock. I think I'm watching what Sam was like, damn, that's so far ahead. Can't be no social media.
Well,
No
you
time.
could pay $15,000 if you want opening night tickets.
Yeah, 25,000, bro.
Or
It's
you could
crazy.
fly, you could fly to Dallas and then I can get you a ticket instead of
Boy.
paying 15,000.
Boy, I could use the money to put it somewhere else, probably in
Right?
stocks or something, like 15,000. Like,
Put it in Spider-Man.
Chris,
stock.
what do you think of that? Like the $15,000 for the first screening of Spider-Man No Way Home.
So I was shocked. First of all, I was looking on eBay as I was trying to get my regular price tickets because I just assumed that scalpers were going to be selling them. I was shocked to see how high they were selling them for. And just based on like how eBay works, I'm not completely convinced that those transactions went through. Like I'm sure that somebody was like, "Yes, I will buy the ticket for 25,000." And then they look at their bank account and they're like, "No, I'm not going to buy the ticket for 25,000," and sent that seller a message. So, even though eBay says that they sold, maybe they didn't, you know? But just the
Yeah, point.
concept that someone got a ticket and is like, this is valued at $25,000, this $16 ticket, and like even thought in for a second that another person, another human being would pay that price is insane to me.
Supply and demand, man. Anyone dumb
It's
enough
crazy.
to actually pay for it, I mean, I'll take your money. Like, if you're dumb
And
enough
plus,
to do it.
If you have the money, then shit, go ahead. But like,
No, it's
I want to
not
meet that
worth it.
Spider-Man fan, like who's so disconnected from who the character of Peter Parker is. Like Peter Parker's this like absolutely broke New York City civilian, and then you have this guy spending $25,000 to go see a Spider-Man movie. It's like, how are you relating to this character? I don't understand.
like people don't understand. Peter's one of the most brokest kid until like when he's an adult. Like
Right.
people don't understand.
I don't know, man. But it's going to be very interesting. I cannot wait to talk about No Way Home. By the time Vash sees it, I would have seen it like twice at that point. So it's going to be
think we'll
very,
watch-
very interesting.
I think when you're watching the second time, I'm going for my first viewing.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But I can't wait. There's so many theories, so many things to talk about. Peter's going to have like 4 different suits in this movie. Can't wait.
It's insane. They gotta sell those toys.
Oh, yeah.
gotta
So
sell
many
those
toys. Yeah.
And Chris is gonna be buying like about 3 of them, or 2 of them already pre-order.
Oh yeah, I already got some pre-ordered.
Yeah, right.
He said, you spoke too soon. Trust me, I've been having that pre-order. Like, damn, you quick on that.
But on the topic of Spider-Man, let's go ahead and talk about our first thoughts on the first look of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. I was very surprised when I saw the Part 1 part. I thought we would have just gotten one movie, see how that works, and then they would have announced the third one. But there's already a plan in place, right? We knew they were working on this movie while they were working on the first one. So that makes me feel good to know that a plan was in place. And I thought this first look was interesting. The animation looks even better than the first one just from what we got, if I'm being honest. Love seeing the banter between Gwen and Miles. I thought that was really dope. And then we get this really cool sequence of Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, and Miles like kind of fighting through the multiverse. So I thought that was really sick. So Chris, starting with you, what was your first impressions on the first look of Across the Spider-Verse?
So to give some spoilers about my opinion of the first movie, Into the Spider-Verse, I recently said on our podcast that I think it's a perfect movie. I absolutely love the original Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It gives me the feelings every single time I watch it. So seeing the teaser start off at the very end of where Into the Spider-Verse finished, I was immediately thrown back into those emotions. And like you said, James, watching Gwen and Miles interact with one another, it's just, the banter is so much fun. I cannot wait to see what they do with this sequel. Joaquin dos Santos, he was a creator on Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I trust him to like be a capable director when it comes to animation. I'm excited to see the visuals. My only hesitation is like, can a sequel possibly be as good as that first movie? You know, that first movie was like lightning in a bottle. So the hype is real. I'm super excited to see this film. I'm just a little worried that it's not going to be able to deliver to the levels that that first movie delivered. But I will be there on opening day, absolutely. And I'm really excited to see Oscar Isaacs come back as Miguel O'Hara. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. Vash, what about you?
Man, I'm dumb excited. People don't understand. Like when you have a Spanish type of Spider-Man character, and with his name Miguel, like mine when I was a kid. Like I love Peter Parker. That was one of my first introduction to Spider-Man, the character. But when I was more reading into his lore as a character and more others, because I didn't know there was fucking like 10 more other characters of Spider-Man. When I found out there's a 2099 version, and with the more broken type abilities of his, you'd be like, okay, this guy is dope as hell. And when he has anger issues and he's just so raw because he's from the future of New York, like I just love his character so much. And Oscar Isaac, I felt like he did a great job just for talking in the first, in the post credit scene in the first film. Like I think he spoke a good 1 minute, 2 minutes, and I felt
It's
like
just like a fun cameo, you know?
and it just fitted so well. And then to see in this film, my boy was giving the right to Miles. Like, yo, Miles, I'm sorry, but in
The
this film,
work.
I'm a root for Miguel O'Hara here, and he was giving him the ill work across. I think in three dimensions he went through, and he was throwing him around. Literally web sling, boom, threw him in a car, threw him down. I'm like,
And
damn,
the
you gotta let the boy
animation
breathe.
changes too. Like
I
I
love
can't
that.
imagine like the rendering times. Like
It's just amazing because I think they were in one dimension, they were in a place that was all Egyptian, and the other one was Spanish and English, so that was
It
pretty
was
dope.
you could see like Hindi
That was
lettering. So it was
that was
Indian
Hindu, yeah,
Spider-Man.
yeah. So there's Indian Spider-Man and everything, and the other one was Spanish and English New York. So that was dope. So I love what they did. And tell me if I'm wrong. This was a time skip, right? Because Miles looked older and looked more taller, right?
Apparently, the end of Into the Spider-Verse is supposed to take place a year after the events of Into the Spider-Verse.
Gotcha.
So this movie's like kicking off a year from when Miles first became Spider-Man. So
Okay,
he's
so a
like
year later.
in the role a little bit more, yeah.
Okay, so it makes sense because in the first scene we also saw him reading a comic book of his own. So like, because it seemed like he's already has a comic book already. I'm like, damn, people just quickly print it. Like, oh my god, new Spider-Man, just print Miles now. I'm like, that's pretty dope. But I love this trailer. It's dope. Part one. Can't wait to see what new music, aka the soundtrack, is gonna be so good. Like, can't wait to see what other new artists joins in this because the first soundtrack I still hear until this very day, almost every single day or every other day, because that soundtrack, What's Up Danger, still is one of my favorites. Like, it's just amazing.
It's great.
yeah, Steve.
Oh, I enjoyed it. So, remember I told y'all last week that I was muting Spider-Man. So I muted
Oh yeah, I
I muted
remember.
everything. So literally it took like like the trailer for the Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse came out, and I was on Facebook and I was just scrolling and I was all like, yo, what the fuck? And I was like, oh yeah, I got it muted. And then like when I unmuted it for a second, all of a sudden I saw
Oh no.
JB's inside the chat that said, hey, look at this Spider-Verse thing. And I was like, I missed all of this. So for like 2 or 3 days, I was just in the dark completely because I was like, I just wanted to make sure that I muted everything so I wouldn't get spoiled for No Way Home. I was not expecting this trailer to be coming out when it did. So when I finally watched it, I was just like hype, but I was hype alone in a sense because I was probably the only one that was like 2 or 3 days behind. But when I saw it or whatever, I just was like him and Gwen, their interactions with each other, like he's clearly got a crush on her, and you know what I'm saying?
It's so
and
adorable.
Like,
it's so adorable.
It's cool, and then like she comes out, she puts the hood on and everything like that, and then she's like, "Let's go." And as soon as they go, you see the back and forth between Spider-Man, Oscar Isaac Spider-Man or whatever, and I just thought that was really cool because I didn't know that he was going to be in it because I know the last one they kind of did like their playful banner at the end of the end credits of the other one. So for that to be happening, and then like you guys said, he was getting that work, and even seeing the full Miles Morales costume was dope too, because like most of the time we saw the hoodie on, and then he had the Jordans. You know what I'm saying? Like he kind of just made one. Where this one is like an authentic costume. So that was our first look, as you know what I'm saying, for the costume or whatever. And
yeah,
I thought
it has like some cool red stripes down the arms.
Yeah,
I really dig what they're doing with it.
So I definitely was like, all right, cool. I was like, we kind of get like the actual costume now. So he's in it now.
I feel like they took some inspiration from the current comic run that's been going on over the past couple of years with the current design for the movie, because it looks very similar to the current comic run that he had back in 2019. So I feel like it's very similar to they took inspiration, or they probably took inspiration from the game. So whichever order, because I feel like it looks really nice.
Yeah, I think he had a similar design in the teaser for Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
Like he had the lines down his arms as well.
Yeah. I can't tell you like how much Miles means to me. Much like everyone else, like Peter Parker was my first like version of Spider-Man, right? And it's like it sounds really fucked up, but it's like as a minority, you just don't even think about having like actual representation sometimes. So it's like when I got my first introduction to Miles, it's like, oh shit, like this is a Spider-Man that I can like actually like really relate to. And like Into the Spider-Verse, like there's some of those moments where it's like I have to hold back tears, bro, because it's just so like inspiring, and it's so amazing to watch Miles like overcome like his internal adversities, like him not feeling like he can be a hero, and then he actually steps into it, like when he's fighting Fisk and everything like that. Like it gets to me every time, man. Like I can't wait for this movie. I can't wait for a live action version of him. Like he's been, introduced into the MCU, so it's like we know he exists. So I can't wait for that day, and I'll probably break down when I see him on screen for the first time, because I love Miles as Spider-Man.
I agree with that.
If we do a fan cast right now, who do you think could play a live action Miles Morales? Man, I personally don't have anybody in mind. But
I've been thinking about that for the past week, because I had a feeling James was going to access,
Jacob Lattimore. I would like to see Jacob Lattimore, even though I feel like he's getting a little older.
I was about to tell you, he's getting older, because if I'm correct, he's currently in Power, right?
No, he's on The Shy, but I mean, like seeing him in Collateral Beauty and stuff like that, that's where I was like, okay, he's actually a really good actor. And I was like, I wouldn't mind seeing him play Miles Morales. Miles Morales. But like I said, he's getting older, but I mean, he can kind of probably pass. He could probably still pass as a 17-year-old.
Yeah, for me, I don't have a good one, but I forgot his name, but he's in Power Book 2, I think. I don't remember his name, but if you give me a minute, I could look it up. But I feel like he'll be a good role because he's currently in a young age that could dive into that in a much older route if they want to do Miles in the next year or two.
I don't know, man. I don't have anyone in mind right now. Like I have no idea who would be a great fit. Like no idea.
I'm interested to see who they choose.
Yeah.
And see if they bring Donald Glover back as Uncle Aaron.
They better, man. I really hope so.
They should, because I love it that Miles is half black and was half Puerto Rican. Like that's one of my favorite traits of his character, because he's Spanish and black. Like he plays like both minority, like for people that are black or Spanish, and it's such a good role. And knowing about his father that's a cop, like he literally plays like such a good character with different traits and with different background for you to understand where it comes from. And I just find that so powerful.
Yeah, man.
Definitely.
I'll think of some people and we can talk about it after the show. I think that'll be really interesting. I never thought about it, but now I want to look and see who could actually be a good fit. So let's move on to our next piece of news. So Kevin Feige was doing an interview, and he said pretty much that if and when Daredevil enters the MCU, he will be played by Charlie Cox. Now, this is right. Like, we were actually surprised, but this was amazing news to hear directly from Kevin Feige. Charlie Cox has been in interviews and he's been asked, like, you know, like what would happen if like someone else played Daredevil. He was like, I would go to their house and make them fight me for it. I thought that was fucking hilarious that he would say something like that, because I mean, he trained so hard for that role and he's amazing. There is no one else that I could see playing that Daredevil role. So Chris, I want to start with you. Like, what are your thoughts on Kevin Feige's comments?
There's no one else, like you said. Like there comes times where actors portray characters and they just like completely embody those characters, and after that point literally no one else could pick up the role. Like the odds of them recasting Iron Man with somebody other than Robert Downey Jr. slim to none, I think, because he just so completely embodied Tony Stark. You know, he was Tony Stark. And I feel the same way about Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. Like, granted, the only person we ever got playing Daredevil prior to that was Ben Affleck. So, like, it wasn't a high bar, but he just did such a great job on that Netflix show. And I absolutely love that show so much that yeah, no question, Kevin Feige's bringing him back for the MCU. Like, he's the only one that could be Daredevil. And I'm really excited to see how the MCU tackles that character.
Yeah. Where do you think would be a good spot for him to show up? Because I think No Way Home's the perfect spot. I mean, with everything Peter's going to be dealing with, he's literally the best lawyer, and they're in New York. I think it would just make perfect sense. But what do you think?
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I think it would just make sense.
I'm not going to say more than that.
Okay. Steve, what about you? Like, what are your thoughts on Kevin Feige's comments?
He's my Daredevil. Like Chris just said, Ben Affleck was
that wasn't his fault, man. That was the early 2000s. They were still figuring shit out. I don't think it was his fault, because the director's cut is actually not bad when you look at it.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
But
might have to check that out then, because I don't even want to revisit it. And this time period, I'm like, I know that's not good. I didn't enjoy it then, so I'm knowing that's not going to be good. But like, he's pretty much my Daredevil. And now I'm just waiting for the announcement of I don't know, I can't remember his name, but the guy that played the Punisher.
If we John
Bernthal.
I want him to come back too.
Just go ahead and announce it.
I'm just curious. He had like a quote recently where he was like, I don't want to come back to play the Punisher with this silly MCU shit. Like, yeah. If you're gonna make Punisher goofy, I'm not gonna come back and do it.
Right.
Yeah. He said he only wanted to do it if it was rated R.
If they're gonna bring back Deadpool, I think they're willing to do Punisher justice. Like, if they're smart enough to do Blade and do the Monster Universe, do with everything with Quantumania, I think Kevin Feige is smart enough that if they're gonna bring back Punisher as well, John Bernthal, they will do it justice. They know how many the fans love with the Netflix. I don't need the Punisher to go back to a big TV. I mean, to a big movie. I'm happy if he goes to Disney Plus or to Hulu. If you want to have it as a rated R, you can stay in Hulu because you're Disney Plus, or unless you want to have a age restriction, whatever. But I'm fine with them just doing TV show for his role. If he does cameos in the future for the movie, sure. But I don't need him to have his own movie. I'm good with TV show. 6-8 episodes like y'all been doing. crispy.
Same. I
Definitely.
think he should have his own show and then just make appearances in the movies. Because for him to have his own movie, what do you do? Bad guy Punisher shows up, fucking kills everyone, and then the movie's over, right? There's really not that much you can do. But with a series, and you have like you were saying, Vash, like 8 hours, you know what I mean, to tell a story. Like I think
And
that's
plus
where it's
cameos
at.
of other characters, aka Spider-Man,
Mhm.
Punisher, aka
Oh, man.
Daredevil come back.
Seeing John
Other
Bernthal's
characters.
Punisher interact with Tom Holland's Spider-Man would be
Dude.
dope.
Oh my god, just like the
Oh
comics,
my
like if they
God.
actually do grabbing Tom Holland, you know, in blood, his costume or rip, and John Berto carries him to like a whole meeting where all the other Avengers are there. Yo, I'm like, they ripped that out of the comic, like that'd be amazing. Like if we finally get that strip of comic to live action, that'd be beautiful. Like sad, you know, see Tom Holland, you know, all bloody and everything, but it'd be dope as hell.
Like Kevin
Actually,
Feige
Vash,
has
I've
said,
heard that in the post-credits scene of No Way Home, John Bernthal steps through a portal and shoots Spider-Man, and that's the end.
You
On
guys
your
heard it
left,
here on
and then
Careful
just shoots him.
Spoilers. You guys heard it here on Careful Spoilers. Right here is the future post-credit scene. Fact check that, you know, John Campia style.
so so Kevin Feige has said that all of those characters from the Netflix shows, they're all on the table still, right? It's just a matter of when's the right time. But my thing is, for characters like Punisher, characters like Blade, like, how do you make a rated R movie but then still have other characters interact with them, like when they cross over, right? Like, what do you do? Because yes,
Yeah.
these days PG-13 can get pretty bloody, so you could have Blade show up in like a Spider-Man movie, throw some blood around here and there or some shit like that, and it could work. But if you start off R, like, it just feels like a lot of hoops to jump through to like bring it back down to PG-13 so that he can fit in with Spider-Man, because that's why Venom's not rated R, because they want Venom to be able to fit into Spider-Man's universe easy without changing anything. So it's like, that's going to be pretty difficult.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's probably Kevin Feige's main hesitation, is that the marketing alone is a nightmare. Because how do you have this character where you have 18... I say 18 plus. We all know that people younger than 18 are going to see R-rated movies. But like,
Yeah.
when you supposedly have
We
an
all have done
18
it.
plus audience going to see a movie, and then you're trying, like you said, to market that character to a much younger audience in this supposedly family friendly like Avengers flick or Spider-Man flick or something like that, it's just a marketing nightmare. And I don't think there's really any way to do that. Basically, essentially the studio would be leaving money on the table as well, you know, because then you lose that entire younger demographic because of that R rating, you know. And that's definitely why they went with the PG-13 for Venom, so they could still get that younger Spider-Man friendly audience into the theater to see it, you know. Like,
But
look
then-
at Carnage in Let There Be Carnage. We never see any blood whatsoever, basically, when Carnage is eviscerating people. They're like always cutting away.
Really?
You know, they never ever show Carnage really kill anybody. We only kind of see like the aftermath.
Actually,
And
I
that's how
think
they
it's
got
like,
away with it.
I think it's like less violent than even the first Venom movie, because at least
Really?
in the first Venom movie,
Wow.
like Venom would like scratch people up, like bite
Yeah.
their heads off. You barely see that in Let There Be Carnage, because like Chris
Wow.
said,
It's
they kind of just
implied.
it's just always implied. Like as he's about to bite their head off, they just cut it away. It's like
So it's more off screen than on screen.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they just cut around everything. So it's just like, okay, when it is time for these characters to interact, because that was something that kind of bothered me with Venom. It's like he's biting people's heads off, and it's just like we get this like balloon popping sound, which is like kind of funny, but it's like there's no blood at all anywhere ever. You know what I mean? It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's like Wolverine's like cutting people up, and there's never any blood on his claws ever.
It's like Wolverine in the 90s X-Men show where he's like retracting his claws and then punching people. You know? It's like, bro, use your claws for God's sake. Like, they're your best weapons. Why do you
This
keep
could all
retracting
be
them?
over. It could be over.
But
Right?
his fist is also made of antimedium, so like it's
That's
still
true.
technically using
true.
a ton. Like his hand is technically
That's true.
a ton of weight. So technically, he's still beating them up just without claws. It's just smacking him with metal.
Yeah. If you go back and watch the X-Men cartoon from the 90s, you'll notice that Wolverine never slices up anything unless it's like a robot.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
never allowed to cut any type of organic matter because it's a children's show.
Yeah.
But that's what I was going to lead over to. So I feel like cameos in the movies will be harder than a TV show because TV show, aka for streaming service like Disney Plus or Hulu, they could get away with it with PG-13/rated R if they had those characters in there. So I feel like they could segue themselves, in and out if they have Daredevil with Punisher and Spider-Man having a conversation, and the Punisher be like, fuck off, kid, too young to be here or something like that. And the Spider-Man, being in the TV show would be much easier instead of the movie, whereas, it's hard to market it. You're trying to make some money off it and, get some more money off the box office. So I feel like that would be harder on a live action, but it depends how Kevin Feige already has a vision for it. Who knows how's his marketing strategy for his team and everything else for what they have planned.
I think you're right, Vash. I think a TV show would be the way to go.
Yeah, we're really close to Blade, so they've already figured it out. It's just for us to see it, right? Because Kevin Feige doesn't do
PG-13, isn't it? I can't remember if they've announced that or not.
I don't think they officially announced a rating.
That's what I think he should wait on before he makes the statement of I won't be the Punisher unless it's rated R. Wait for Blade to come out and see how well it's done, and if it's done well to your liking, then be like, okay, I can be Punisher.
You can really get away with a lot in PG-13. Like, as long as you don't see like a bunch of body parts flying, like brain matter and shit like that, you can still get away with a lot of blood. So it's like, to do a vampire movie, you could do it in PG-13. You can get pretty, like, on the edge. You just have to cut out all the fucks, like no curse words.
You get at least one. You'll get at least
one fuck. You get one fuck, no nudity, and then just like less like body parts and like brain matter, and like you can still have a lot of blood. So it can work.
So or have a lot of blood and have a lot of brain matter, just show less light and a lot of dark scenes, because that's what a lot of people do too nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways around it, man, especially these days, because when you look at the Thomas Jane Punisher, that's rated R, and that should have been PG-13, because it's not even that violent when you think about it. It feels like it's only R because of how many fucks they say in the movie.
The American rating system is very weird.
It's very flawed. It's very flawed. But to answer James' question, Daredevil, Charlie Cox, hella excited. In one of my jobs, I actually met the director of one of the episodes, and actually met the camera guy that did the season 1 and season 2 cut scenes. So I actually spoke to him about how was it to film the scenes with Charlie Cox and everything, and they told me like so much great things about it. But I'm also curious that if other characters from the Netflix universe, aka like the Night Nurse, if she's gonna come and join the universe as well, because I'd love to see her on the big screen and see other of the Manhattan heroes, aka Spider-Man and other characters that we know from Manhattan itself and everything. How would they interact with her? Luke Cage coming back, because I would love to see him come back as well. So Charlie Cox. I have one more thing to add, but that'll be for the Hawkeye review about Charlie Cox himself.
Mm-hmm. So let's move on to the last news topic that I wanted to talk about today. And Vash actually brought this up because I wasn't going to talk about it, but after I thought about it, I was like, you know what, this is going to be a really interesting topic to see what Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige is going to do. So Letitia Wright famously, does not like the vaccine, right? She does not want to get vaccinated. She is very concerned about what is being put into her body. And Chris and I were talking about this behind the scenes, and I get it to a degree, right? Because I didn't get vaccinated until maybe a month ago, right? Because I was apprehensive, like, I don't know what this is, right? MK Ultra was a thing. The government was 100% experimenting on people, and it's like, well, we have this vaccine and everyone needs it, right? So it's like, this would be the best way to experiment on people, right? And I know that could be like a conspiracy theory, but it's like, I get it. I get totally wanting I get wanting to fully understand what's going into your body. You don't know how it's going to affect you long term, right? But it's like, at the same time, like, this is destroying your bag, right? And I'm not saying that you should completely get rid of your own like personal beliefs for your job, because it shouldn't be that way. You should come first. But at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so much controversy surrounding her not wanting to get vaxxed. She got injured on set, so production has been delayed. And now, if she doesn't get vaccinated, production is going to be delayed even further. So, the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I want to know what you guys think will be the future of Wakanda Forever at this point. Like, will it still have its original release date? Does Shuri get recast? Does Shuri get written out of the franchise, written out of this movie? So that's kind of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. And Chris, I'm going to start with you first. Like, what do you think about all of this news surrounding Letitia Wright? And what do you think Marvel Studios might do if she doesn't want to get vaxxed?
I just want to start by saying that I completely agree with you, that it's like, it's her body, it's her decision. I don't blame her for not wanting to get it. And I respect that she is sticking up for her right not to have to get it. You know, the problem is when you're working in this industry and, you know, these giant costly productions are trying to keep all of their employees safe. Currently, this is one of the safest ways to do so, you know, just to make sure that everybody is vaccinated. But look, if she doesn't want to do it, she doesn't have to do it. That just means there are going to be repercussions that come along with that. Now, take this with a super grain of salt. But the rumor is that she is Black Panther in this movie, and that scenes have been shot of her as Black Panther in this movie. And to that, I'm thinking about what the production history has been for Black Panther 2 and how tragic a loss it was to lose Chadwick Boseman, and how initially when Letitia Wright signed up to be in the Black Panther franchise, she didn't sign up to be Black Panther. She didn't want to be Black Panther, you know? So like, if those rumors are true and this kind of huge responsibility has been thrust upon her and she doesn't want it, like, I could see this as an opportunity for her just to be like, this isn't what I signed up for. I'm walking away from this. You guys figure out what you're going to do with your franchise. But like, I was fine being Shuri, but like, I don't want to take on the responsibility of being the Black Panther for everybody, you know? Truth be told, I have no idea what Marvel Studios is going to do if it turns out that she has to step away. As Shuri, you could totally recast that role. I loved her as Shuri in the first Black Panther and in Infinity War, but that is a recastable role, you know? Recasting your Black Panther a second time and trying to figure out who the Black Panther is going to be for a third instance, whether or not the public has seen it, that's hard, you know? Like, that's such a huge reshuffling. So I'm hoping those rumors aren't true and that she isn't actually or wasn't actually supposed to be Black Panther, because that'll make it much easier for the studio as a whole. But yeah, either way, I'm worried for the production of Wakanda Forever, and I absolutely have no idea what they're going to end up doing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Vash,
I feel
what are
bad
your
for
thoughts
Ryan
on this?
Coogler
Yeah, man.
right now.
For me, who works in production, every production you work in union show, you have to be vaccinated. Sooner or later, they're gonna ask for booster shots as well. That has to be part of the gig, and it's crazy, but it's part of it because people need to understand there's contracts and millions of fucking dollars. So, like what James and Chris said, is liability as well. That's the main thing. Studios doesn't want to get sued because they get sued. That takes time of their end to make more money in the future for future TV shows and the future works and for people to get paid. So at the end of the day, if they want to make money, if they want to continue in this current pandemic that's still going on, sadly, and in this type of economy, people gotta be vaccinated. If you like it or not, you can't work in this industry. I have not met one person who's currently in this industry not be vaccinated. So I get it. For her not to want it, I respect it. That's her body, like Chris said. That's her wishes. But I don't know how Marvel does it. I have worked for Universal, Hulu, Fox, and a couple other current big companies. No matter if you're vaccinated, they still do a test 3 times a week if you're on set and with cast. I get tested Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, no matter if I'm vaccinated, and it comes out negative. I continue to work. So maybe for her not being vaccinated, she gets tested every single goddamn day. But maybe they've been trying to pressure her to get vaccinated, so it's less work, less liability as well. less type of lawyers, because people probably have been complaining that they don't feel safe around her because people have their own type of beliefs. Respect.
Right.
In her shoes, I get what Chris is saying, because she could be recast. Because you know who could also be the next Black Panther? I have no problem. M'Baku. He has
Yeah.
been the Black Panther in the comics, and he has taken the mantle from T'Challa. So if it is, she was supposed to be a Black Panther in the film, or if she isn't, M'Baku could take that role. So in all honesty, I don't mind it. He's a great actor. He's the tallest motherfucker when I met him, because goddamn, I felt like I was just a small dude compared to him. So I feel like if you want to have a Black Panther role, he could take the mantle, or do some type of Thanos snap and
A
just bring
giant
back
fucking Black Panther.
that, or you could just do some type of Thanos snap or some type of magic and just bring back Michael B. Jordan. I'm fine with either or too. So MCU, Kevin Feige, I give the best. Good luck to you. However, you want to clean this mess or not mess, it depends on your perspective, because this is a sensitive topic going on in the industry and going on in the world. So, Shuri, I get it to your rights and beliefs, but at the end of the day, a job is a job, and if you want to work in this industry, you got to be vaccinated. And that is the bottom line, stone cold.
Yeah. I might be speaking out of turn here, but isn't Letitia Wright British?
I don't
So is
know.
she even
I
a
think
U.S.
she
citizen,
is.
or is she just here on a work visa? And that might
I
be another
don't-
thing that's coming into play, like her nationality. If Britain's not requiring she do this, but she's here working in the United States, and the U.S. is requiring that she do it, that might be another point of contention for her. Like, I don't really
That's a
want
good point.
to do this.
British.
Yeah.
But you'd have to fact check me on that. I'm sorry, I don't
Yeah,
know. for
it's
certain.
just a sticky situation to be in, and it's just like, regardless of her beliefs, it's just like, what do we do now, right? Like, we've been talking about, like, they already had to rework the script because of Chadwick's passing, and then now with everything going on with Letitia Wright, like, what do we do next? But Steve, I want to get your thoughts on this.
So at this point, as much as it sucks to say, like, I guess you have to recast her. It's just too much at this point. Like, it's like we're trying to work with you, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna step away. Now it would be unfortunate if she is the Black Panther, which that would suck. And like I think that honestly and truthfully, what I thought was going to happen anyway was she was going to be Black Panther for this movie. I'm still going to stand on this hill. I think Wakanda Forever will be a what happened in Wakanda during the 5-year snap. I still
That would be
believe
cool.
I think that that's what it's going to be, and I think Namor will attack while T'Challa was away, which was part of a comic run. Namor attacks while T'Challa was away.
That would be genius.
I think that's what Wakanda Forever is.
Setting it in that 5-year gap is perfect, because
you can get away
T'Challa's
with no
not there.
T'Challa. Yeah, you can get away
Genius,
with
bro.
everything, and
That's a really good point.
That's a comic run. You get more cushion to find another T'Challa. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a lot of cushion for that. She would have been taking over the mantle during that time period, and they handled the situation with Namor while T'Challa's away. While that's going on, obviously from the comic book, Namor is washing Wakanda for the most part, but we still get to see a great movie and everything like that. And then as the opening credits, you know what I'm saying, the end credits, you can just have any random guy in a suit, in a T'Challa in a Black Panther suit, and he's like, "What's going on?" You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
you
man.
technically don't have to
I can't.
replace T'Challa. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You're right, though. You're right.
Yeah,
Yes.
it would be genius, and it would also be, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it would also be the first MCU property that's taken place during the blip.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it would.
So
be.
I think
Most of it is just
that would
the
be
movie, just
very
the TV
interesting.
show. Yeah.
Because it
Like-
would be great to see, like, what kind of outreach Wakanda did to the rest of the world to help out
Mhm.
after
Agree.
everyone got blipped. I would love to see something like that.
I think that's perfect. I think that's the perfect storyline to go with, because it's in the comics. It's literally written like that. Namor attacks while T'Challa's away.
We know that
makes
Okoye
sense.
was working with the Avengers during that time period, and she does mention like a tremor underneath the ocean in
Mhm.
Avengers Endgame.
Why
So,
not? It's just perfect. And then now you have a whole nother movie to figure out what you're gonna do with the T'Challa
I
stuff.
hope so because
Hire this
as
man
much
to write that script.
Right?
I hope so because as much as I love the current films and shows that's been going on, I want to know why. Like, I want to know the human side of the blip. Like, how did it? Like, we know how effective like Wade on Natasha. We know how effective Hawkeye, Ronan. We know how effective these heroes. But I like what Steve was actually counseling actual regular human beings and understanding and being with them and actually tell them that he relates to this too because he's a hero, but he couldn't do nothing of it. So I love that we got to see human side of it. So I hope we get more of this, like little shorts like we have in the comics um of those people that actually clean the city after the heroes. Those type of things is very comedy, but to actually see it in a little short on Disney Plus about the blip and everything, those stuff will actually see that human side of stuff, and it doesn't have to be long because I would love to see that. Like, uh, it will keep the MCU more grounded.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree completely, man. But yeah, chat, let us know what you guys think about this entire situation. Like, do you think she might do it? If not, like, do you think they should recast Shuri? Do you think they should like just cut Shuri out of the movies and like kill her off screen, which I think would be the wrong choice. But what do you guys think would be the right choice in this kind of situation? Because it's really tough. Like, again, like they already had to delay production for so long because of her injury, and then now who knows if she might even come back because the rumor is she doesn't want to be vaxxed. So we'll
Maybe
see
she'll
how
have
it
a
all
change
goes.
of heart over the new year. We'll
Who
see.
knows?
The next New Year resolution.
God,
The New
please.
Year, new
I'm
me.
gonna get vaccinated as my New
My
Year's resolution.
resolution.
I hate those people. New year, new me. It's tomorrow. There's nothing different about you. It's tomorrow. You sound like an idiot.
Like,
But-
bitch, is a new shit. Let's just start the new day tomorrow. That's it.
But anyways, I'm a Grinch. I don't care about Christmas. I don't care about anything at all. So that's just me.
Sadness.
But let's get into our main topic of the night. Let's get into Hawkeye episode 4. And before we get into the episode spoilers discussion itself, Chris, I just want to get from your perspective, someone who has read Matt Fraction's comic run on Hawkeye, which you guys should check out on the website, by the way. Chris wrote another amazing article, non-spoiler, on that comic, so definitely check that out.
Which is very good.
Yeah, very good.
sir.
Check it out on the website after the show. But as someone who's read the comic, like, out of the 3 episodes, before we get into 4, out of the 3 episodes, like, what were some of the things right off the top of your head that was like, oh, that's really cool, like, that's right out of the book?
And also,
Well-
one more question. How did you like the flip of the personality? Because how in the comic run, Hawkeye is more of the one that likes to be crazy, and Kate is more the calm one trying to be even more remorse. But in the show, is flip. How do you like that little twist?
I like that. I think it's important to bring more attention to Kate Bishop as a character, especially considering that, Kevin Feige is probably going to be moving forward in the MCU with her, especially if they do like a Young Avengers type of show. So like, I was shocked for a little bit that they were focusing more on Kate Bishop in the first couple of episodes,
Same.
but the show's called Hawkeye. It's not necessarily about Clint Barton. It's about the Hawkeyes, Kate Bishop and Clint Barton.
Good point.
So once at the end of the first episode, when I was like, I get it, like I was totally on board with it from that point forward. But guys, I am digging the fuck out of this show. I love it so much, especially episode 3. That can I talk about specific details?
Yes, of course, please.
That car chase was straight out of the comic book.
Yes, it
And
was.
I was grinning from ear to fucking ear when I was watching that scene.
The
And the
97
way-
Charger. Oh,
Oh
it's so
my
sad. I
God.
get destroyed still.
The way they've adapted the tracksuit mafia, it
Bro,
feels
bro.
like Matt Fraction's run. It's not identical,
It's
but
not.
that's to be expected. Nothing the MCU has adapted has been like a 1-for-1 copy of what
The
the
Civil
source
War.
material was. Yeah, especially Civil War. I know Vash has some opinions about that movie. But I'm enjoying it so much. I texted my co-hosts, Brian Dupree and Christian Katie on the Pop-O-Holics, immediately after I watched episode 3 of Hawkeye, and I was like, I think I just watched my favorite episode of any MCU Marvel TV show that they have ever made.
And I bet you Chris was like, yeah, sure, okay.
It just captured. Yeah, they're like, I don't give a fuck. Stop texting us. They're like, we haven't seen it yet. Don't spoil anything. But yeah, man, like the vibe of the comic book is so built into this show. It's just so much fun. I'm having a blast watching it. And the dynamic between Haley Steinfeld and Jeremy Renner is so funny, especially when he doesn't have his hearing aid in. And like the subway sequence immediately after the car chase, when there's like a slight delay. There really isn't a delay because he can't hear anything that Kate Bishop is saying to him. But the fact that they're sharing the same thought process, like, oh, we should really walk the dog. It's really
like,
funny.
Yeah, we should. Even though I just said that, but okay.
Right. Like her saying that we should walk the dog, and then him giving her this really nice compliment, despite the fact that he's not able to hear her, but calling her like one of the world's greatest archers. And then her about to respond to this nice compliment, but he like totally brushes it off like, we should really walk the dog. You know, it's just such a fun scene. And I think episode 4, and we'll get into it, but I think episode 4 delivered on more of that really excellent dynamic between the two of them.
Oh yeah. When she comes over for like movie night for Christmas, like that was my favorite sequence of the entire movie. So let's get into the episode itself. So where episode 3 ended off, Clint and Kate are inside Eleanor's house, and Jack pulls out the Ronin sword on Clint, right? So we get back to that immediately, and I do find it kind of weird that he doesn't. I don't think the house was that dark that he couldn't recognize that it was Hawkeye. So I was like, what was he thinking in that moment? But I love that he calls him Archer too, and Kate's so like, funny. I told you, it's
tell
branding.
If he's conniving or just dumb.
He's lying. He's lying. There's no way.
He has to be lying, right?
He kind of gives me that Modern Family, the dad from Phil from Modern Family vibe.
Like, dude, that's so good.
He has good intentions, but he's just fucking up, and it's like, dude,
right?
Like, aren't you?
By the way,
I think he's just really, really smart, really clever, and it's like that's why him and Eleanor work, right? Because I think they both work within the mob world. Yeah. And they're birds of a feather. That's why they get along so well.
Well, for those that are interested to buy the manufacturer run and David Aja omnibus hardcover, $249.
Or they just released a paperback version of the entire run for like $43 on Amazon.
That's not bad.
Oh, it's not. The paperback version is not listed on Amazon right now. It's just a hardcover. Maybe so either got sold out. So I just want to let people know, in case you love the Hawkeye show and you want to read what was adapted from, it costs you $250. So in case you want to tell your mom, your family members, hey, Christmas is coming up, can you just buy me this? It's $250. So to let people know, the audience know, in case you get sweet talk.
Or we're all about options here on Villains. So if you prefer to read your comics digitally, I'm pretty sure Comixology is having a sale on every single one. There's like 4 trades that you could buy for like $1.99 or something. So there are options depending on like how you want to consume it.
Yeah, but
if you like a collectible, then you probably want to keep it, because I definitely want to keep it, because I read this comic probably like 3 years ago and it's so good. So
yeah, I'm like a weirdo. I would buy it twice, buy it physically, never open it, and then buy it digitally so I can read it.
I get that.
But I don't got the money yet, so I have to choose one of the options, and I'd rather choose collectible. But I definitely I just want to add to what Chris was saying. I read this run as well, and it's just so good. Which was funny because Chris was fine with the show being Hawkeye and it's being about Kate first. At first, I don't know if Chris watched the show last week, but
yeah, you weren't about it.
I wasn't about it at first, but the talking with the panel, the team, they turned me over. I'm like, you know what? I see where they're coming from, because they have to introduce Kate the character more, because we know about Hawkeye.
Yeah, it's like at this point, we've already spent 10 years with him. You know?
Yeah, so I'm like, but since this was adapted from manufacturer, I was hoping for more of Clint in his past and more of him his character, but we're getting a mix of both. But like we have said it before, it's adapted, not page by page, so it doesn't mean that's gonna actually take more of Clint's story and teach it. But I'm fine that throughout the 4 episodes now, I'm fine that they switched their persona from the manufacturer room, where Kate is the one that's more the crazy one, but makes sense because of what her mom said, saying that you're young and you're rich, so you are very reckless. So it makes sense for her character to be the way she is. And for Clint, for all the 10 plus 20 years that he's been Hawkeye and AK, like he said, inside the dinner table, he said that he was meant to kill people and to shut them up. So the way he is, it makes sense. And I fuck heavy with his character more now.
I can't wait to talk about that scene. There's so much to talk about in that scene. But just like I love the beginning, like just what like Chris was saying, like the banter between like Haley Steinfeld and Jeremy Renner, it's so on point, where she's like talking to Jack and her mom, and she's like, yeah, I mean, I'm his partner, we're friends, he tells me everything.
I wouldn't
like,
consider us friends.
So it's like the banter between them, it's so good. And it's like I love Vera Farmiga in all of these scenes because there's so much hidden in her performance that you don't really see, but you can feel it. Especially that conversation with Hawkeye at the elevator, because you can tell there's a part of her that is saying all of this because she genuinely does want to protect her daughter. But at the same time, she's talking from the perspective of a mob boss that doesn't want an Avenger digging into their business. So
dude, bringing up Natasha was such like a jab in the side.
Yeah,
yo, like a stab in the back, because I'm literally saying you're gonna bring up family, and I'm like, wait, how do you know about his family? Wait, I'm like, oh, the security
I'm just
cameras.
assume you have children. Like
I'm like that's a lie.
You know he has children.
Like
she knows.
Like even though it's not public to everyone, but your company is literally security around the city, so you must have checked about Hawkeye having kids and family. So I'm like,
I mean, this is the thing, right? Like Hawkeye was in public at Rogers the Musical at different restaurants with his kids. Of course, he's an Avenger. He saved the world multiple times. It's like, oh, Hawkeye has kids. So it's like the secret's out. You know what I mean?
Dude, you say that, right? And it took me 4 episodes to finally realize, like, aren't his kids supposed to be, like, off the books and, like, undercover?
Yeah, like,
but I suppose like after the blip and being Ronin, he's like, I don't give any fucks anymore.
Yeah, he's like, you know what?
I just want to spend time with my family.
Right.
Yeah.
So Steve, I want to start with you. Like, what did you think about that scene? And like, do you agree with me? Like, do you feel like it was coming from both of these angles, or do you feel like it was just coming from one of those? Or just give me your thoughts on it.
I'm with you. I like we've been talking about this since first episode or first review. We both think that she's the one that's behind the murder. We don't. We think that it's just a red herring, and she's actually the one that's behind it. He may have something to do with it. He may know what's going on with it, but it's all about her. So her basically saying, what I'm saying, he was like, yo, I'll keep her safe, and what I'm saying, she's really good at what she does, and she was like, Natasha Romanoff was also good. So she's basically like, what I'm saying, like, it wasn't just she was also good in a sense of, and you couldn't keep her alive. It was more so like she died and I'm gonna, poke at you a little bit. And then also she's like, you got kids, right? And it's just also so many things where she was just pretty much taking these little subtle jabs at him, and like kind of just more so mental jabs, kind of making him think about every move that he's gonna make in the future and things like that. But also, I kind of like how he subtly got his sword back. You know what I'm saying, in the scene or whatever too. I thought that was pretty cool, because that gave me the impression that he really didn't too much care about what she was talking about as she's having that conversation. He's like, all right, I just need to keep her off my back so I can get in this elevator and get away with what I've just stolen. So that kind of gave me that impression as well. So I'm kind of on the fence with that whole conversation, where it's like she's kind of like telling you, like, I'm a mob boss if you're actually picking up on it, but you're more so worried about getting away with getting this weapon that you're not even picking up on those little key hints that they're giving you right there. And I'm kind of like in an in-between moment for those two scenes or whatever, for that whole scene or whatever.
Vash, what are your thoughts on Eleanor's motivations in the scene?
It makes sense, you're a mother, but at the same time, like, we all agree that she is part of the bros. I wonder if she also calls them bro, when when she's hanging out, and like, yo, bro, come through over here quick. So I just really want to hope I get it like at least one time her saying it, cause that'd be hilarious as hell. Also how like I love it when evil villains go to a different room and call somebody, but you could see you're making a very mysterious type of suspicious ass type of phone call, because you call which was Yelena. Like we know that was her that you was calling.
We don't.
But it's like,
Do we?
And we
Okay.
don't, and I can't wait to talk about that next. But I want to get your thoughts on this, and I want to get Chris's thoughts on this, because I have a whole thing planned for that phone call.
okay, so I'll hold my thoughts for that. But the conversation with Hawkeye, Kay, and the mom and Jack, it was good, entertaining. The camera shots, I also want to give a shout out to, because I felt like they did great camera shots, and plus cinematography to have the foreground and background with both of them, and plus the cutscenes was very well. I enjoyed that very much. But I love the tension. Like it felt very awkwardness between all four of them. And Jack, like, did nobody question the new sword he got out of nowhere? Like he was just ready for that. And like Kate's mom didn't even ask, hey, where did you grab that sword? Why did you have it ready? What's going on there? And Kate didn't even ask, like, wait a minute, that sword looks familiar, like from the auction. Like, yes, it would have rat her ass out. But at the same time, she could have told Clint, like, yo, Clint, that's the same sword I saw in the auction. That's Ronin. Isn't that your sword? But that was not mentioned. So it's like,
True. And at this point, she hasn't pieced together, or at least she hasn't
yes.
let on to the audience that she knows that he was Ronin, or figures that he was Ronin.
True. But it's
You're
just
totally right about that.
Yeah,
That's
like
very weird.
When I saw that made me question, like, Kate, you're not gonna see that was literally the sword that guy literally said, we have here Ronin's sword, and it's retractable here too.
That sword is
Kate
awesome,
did not know,
by the way.
It's really dope myself.
I want a replica of that sword.
Yeah.
That's gonna be an expensive hot toy right there.
I'm about to say, yeah, because
That's gonna be an expensive one.
Oh man.
But it's very curious to know that like nobody like bothered to ask why Jack had it out of nowhere. So it's just that like that's one thing that threw me off. Like nobody in the writing team was gonna acknowledge that or write that in the script. They're just gonna ignore that. But okay, cool.
Definitely.
But other than that was a good scene overall. Steve?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, Steve already gave his thoughts, but
Chris, my fault.
Chris, what are your thoughts on Eleanor's like motivation so far, period? Because we haven't talked to you about like all of the other things that just kind of stick out, like the fact that she owns a security company, like that is the most like comic book like mob thing you could do. Like mob, they offer protection. What do security companies do? You know what I mean? Like it's so on the nose. So it's like, what are your thoughts on Eleanor?
Mask, dude.
Who do you think killed the uncle as well? Because I really want to know your thought. Do you think it was Jack?
It was her. I think it was her.
Do you think it was her too? Because I think, damn, it's just me then. Damn,
I honestly think
Jack.
I think Jack is a patsy. I think he's being used by her as a scapegoat.
He's the front man.
The fact that his name is attached to Sloan Limited is the name of the shell organization, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's aware that his name is attached to that.
Yeah,
you know,
probably
she could
doesn't
have just
even know.
Put it under his name
Good
if she
point.
wanted to.
But his name in the comic is technically Swordmaster, and he's the one that teaches Clint. You know,
yeah, he's not even evil in the comics, so it's like there's nothing to base anything on.
Yeah, he like goes back and forth between being an Avenger and being a villain in the comic books. So like he fluctuates, and I don't even know if the MCU is going to adapt him in that way. You know, the only trait they may have brought into the MCU is the fact that the dude likes swords. You know,
yeah,
but
and
we have
he's
seen
skilled
that he's
with
a
them too.
Skilled swordsman. You know, but I do think it's a red herring. I honestly think that Eleanor is kind of behind everything. And in this interaction between her and Clint in front of the elevator, I think she's definitely trying to threaten him a little bit. Whether he is willing to accept the threats or not, which he clearly is not, because he gets into the elevator and he's like, I'm not going to give up the case. I can't do that. And all I can do is promise you that I'm going to keep your daughter safe. So he's like, not, at least in that moment, and we'll talk about later on in the episode, but in that moment, he's unwilling to, listen to her and do what she wants him to do. But I definitely think there's like a power tug of war taking place between the two of them in front of that elevator. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if she was one of the main villains of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think she is definitely like one of the main villains of the show. Like, and we'll talk about the person that I think she was actually trying to call right here in a second. But yeah, I definitely think that Eleanor killed Armand, because I mean, at the fundraiser, he disrespected her and threatened her. So I think she definitely killed him. But as far as that phone call, I think she was calling Kingpin, right? Like, who do you call? You call the head of organized crime, because he is the head of all of this, right? You have an Avenger digging into your business. He is interacting with the tracksuits, and there's way too much attention on everything. So I think, and you guys can tell me what you think after, but I think Eleanor called Kingpin, obviously got his voicemail, and then when Kingpin got it, he called Val, who then commissions Yelena, using her sister as the scapegoat, to send Yelena after Clint so that she doesn't ask any questions, right? Because, I mean, you're essentially asking someone to go after an Avenger. Why? She chose Yelena because it's personal. It's like, oh shit.
There's motive, you know?
Exactly. So I think Eleanor called Kingpin called Val, and Val commissioned Yelena. But Steve, I want to start with you, and I want to know who you think she was trying to call.
Before, I thought that she was just trying to give a call to Yelena in general. But now, after your breakdown, because I honestly and truthfully, I'm with you with the Kingpin thing. I think we'll get a Kingpin cameo in episode 6 as the same.
I think we'll get a Kingpin cameo
next episode.
Week.
Yeah.
Next episode.
Next episode. Okay.
There's already I think a promo picture out.
So episode 5 that comes out the day before Spider-Man. You get a Kingpin reveal,
and then Charlie Cox
5, and then you get Kingpin, like even just at a quick auction or walk across the museum in Spider-Man. That's what I thought.
That'd be sick.
That's what I said on the episode of Itma, but I was like, I'll say 6 this time.
Or
but now that you guys,
Kingpin in Hawkeye and Charlie Cox in No Way Home.
Yep.
As a quick fight,
returning.
As a quick fight scene, that would be a dope
fight. Not a fight scene, but it's just Kevin Feige going, look at these 2 characters that I've brought back to the MCU in separate MCU properties.
Mm-hmm. But it's just going to be very curious to see, because this Kingpin is technically in the year 2025, when No Way Home is in the December of year 2023. So it's very curious to see how different is this Kingpin, because this is technically almost 8 or 7 years after the Netflix version of Kingpin. So it's going to be very curious to see
if that Netflix show is still continuity.
Right. Yeah, correct. So if it's still continuity, even though it was for the Netflix and Marvel stuff, but not that it got rebooted or not. So curious to see if what happened with Vanessa. Don't touch my Vanessa. Curious to see all those stuff that he went through, if it's still continuity.
That's why I say for Spider-Man, you'll get just like, even if they're just like in a museum or something, and you see Kingpin kind of off to the side or something like that. That's what I think we'll get for if he's in Spider-Man at all. I think that it won't be like a huge thing. I think it'll be like a quick, like he's over here at an auction, whining and dining somebody, something like that, and then they just continue on with the movie. But I was thinking that too, like he's gonna be right here popping up in Hawkeye the day before the Spider-Man release, and then it's like boom, and
that would
then
be
like
crazy.
I think Charlie Cox is the lawyer for Peter Parker. But I thought she was calling Yelena until you gave that explanation right now, and now I'm like, oh shit, that makes sense.
Because even like, because here's my thing, like, why would she even know that Yelena exists, right? Like, I think if anything, she would know Val. You know what I mean? Well, if anything, she would know Val, and then Val would talk to this person. But I think she was talking to Kingpin. I could be wrong. But Chris, what are your thoughts on this? Who do you think she called?
You and I are on the exact same page. I thought the phone call was initially Kingpin. And I like how you kind of went down this like chain of phone calls, which is like Kingpin to Val to Yelena to go fight Hawkeye. Because the scene that we saw at the end of Black Widow could very well take place at the same time that
Yeah.
Hawkeye's taking place. You know, we didn't get a date or a
That is
timestamp
true.
for that scene.
You got a point there.
So that's super likely. If the phone call wasn't directly to Kingpin, I think it was probably to Val, maybe directly to Val. But I don't think she called Yelena directly. I think she went to like one of the higher ups, either Wilson Fisk or Val. But yeah, you and I are on the same page.
For Val, it will make sense because she's, from what we're assuming, she is building the Thunderbolts, and because Yelena literally wear the outfit from the comic book, like literally stripped from the page. I'm like, oh, they literally wear her outfit already. All right, cool. So it's gonna be very curious to see what's gonna be next. But that makes more sense what James brought up. It was a Yelena, because like, why would she have her number in the speed dial? It would make sense if it was Kingpin or if it was Val, and then they could say, all right, cool. I'm gonna contact my trusty little spy, aka the Black Widow, and go hunt this assassin. So makes sense for that to be more the case. And I just can't wait for Kingpin. And like, for next episode, we get him. Like, I'm gonna be smiling like a little boy, just saying that.
There's
just next week.
Too many Kingpin Easter eggs.
There's way too many. And like,
Has to be
who's
him.
uncle? And literally, like, who chuckles and has a big hand like that? Like in episode 3, like nobody has a big hand like that, and chuckles the same like him. So it literally is.
Dude, it's at the auction where they mention the head of organized crime. That's the Kingpin, bro. Like,
And when
they
you
keep
also go to the
mentioning,
same building he owns.
yeah, they keep mentioning the big guy, uncle. It's like, it's Kingpin, bro.
Dude, the auto
it's
repair
him.
shop is called like Fat Man Auto Repair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's
And then the
Kingpin.
Rolex, the Kingpin, the cufflinks, all this stuff is
Yeah.
that he was like huge on in the TV series. It's like they're just giving it to us at this point. So
Or it's Mephisto.
Oh my
Could
god.
be Mephisto.
I remember when we did this one division. Oh, this was hilarious. It just
Kingpin
Hashtag
was
Mephisto confirmed.
Kingpin was never real. Kingpin is actually Mephisto's like human alias that he uses.
Yo,
Or it could be Ralph Boner.
oh my god.
I say.
By the way, now not thinking about it, next week is gonna be such a blast because we have Hawkeye, and then we have The Witcher and Spider-Man No Way Home in that same
That's
weekend,
true.
which
And then the
with
Matrix
Netflix.
Resurrections 5
the
days later.
following week is like, yo, Netflix, right now I currently work for you and everything, but you should have dropped The Witcher 8K today, because literally that's so much content in that 1 week. Because
It's also a lot of competition.
I like competition too. Like, yes, it's streaming versus theatrical, but like that's so many things for people to do in 1 weekend, like watching 8 episode season 2, and also Hawkeye and Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, that's so much discussion to have in 1 week. It's like, god damn it. But there's a whole tangent. But I want to say, like, not thinking about it, next week is gonna be a fucking blast.
So Brees has a good question, right? If it's not Kingpin, who else could they have as like the new head of organized crime? Who could it
Harry
be?
Osborn.
It could be. It
Sorry,
could just be
not Harry
Eleanor, right? It could just be Eleanor, but I
Yeah.
don't think it is, because if she's calling for assistance, I don't know. There's not enough data for me to say definitively, but it could be Eleanor. Who knows? Eleanor could be the new Kingpin, right? We have no idea. Because I mean,
Or how about Norman? Norman Osborn.
I mean,
I don't think it would be any of the Spider-Man characters.
Yeah.
Because Sony has them on lock.
True.
Like they play nice together, but this is like a wholly MCU production. A wholly Marvel Studios production. So I don't know if we could pull from that sandbox.
Yeah, you're right.
yeah. But let's move on to like the next sequence, which is actually one of my favorite sequences in the entire episode. So this is Clint walking on the streets. He calls Laura after he texts her to look into Sloan Limited, right? And then we find out that Sloan Limited is a shell company for the tracksuits, and Jack is the CEO, right? And then she starts speaking.
Little does he know.
Right?
Russian.
And then she starts speaking in German, right?
Oh, German. It was
Just
German. Okay.
and right before then, like, she's talking in code to Clint so that the kids don't know exactly what they're talking about, right? And then she starts talking in German, and she's like, "Was anything else taken from the compound?" Right? And then Clint mentions the Rolex, and then it's like, okay, how is this Rolex attached to Laura in any way? And then I start thinking, I'm like, could Laura have been a shield agent. I don't want to get too further down this rabbit hole, because he mentions later on in the episode to Kate that, well, it used to belong to someone that I used to work with. It's like, is Laura Mockingbird in the MCU?
That would be awesome.
And did she used to work for Shield, bro? And this Rolex has like some kind of disc inside of it that has all of like data from like secret agents that are no longer on the grid. That's what I'm thinking. So, Chris, I want to start with you. I want to know what you thought about that conversation, and like, what do you think is Laura's secret? Because it's like, Clint also feels very comfortable like leaving her alone with the kids, right? Even though they are very secluded and protected by Shield, right? But they're protected because she potentially used to be a Shield agent. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this?
Once again, you and I are on the exact same page. Like, all this information, the fact that she can speak German, a different language, the fact that she has been so completely comfortable and cool with everything that Clint's been doing this entire time. Like, she's, and yeah, they're husband and wife. Like, I'm sure he shares his day to day with her, but she would be even more understanding if she had also lived that lifestyle for a period of time, you know? And the fact that Fury took his family off the books and put her undercover and off the grid as a favor to him, I think it makes perfect sense that she was at one point a Shield agent. And I definitely agree with you that I think the watch most likely belonged to her. Whether or not she is Mockingbird, I don't know. I think she could just potentially be a normal Shield agent. I don't know if they'll necessarily make her Mockingbird. I would love that.
Like, I only pull that because, like, they have a romance in the comics,
you know? They were married in the comic books.
They were married in the comics all the time in the 80s, I believe it was the 80s in the comics.
So, like, it's possible, you know? But I definitely think that she was a Shield agent at some point, without a doubt.
With her being
Which I love. I love that, like, because this whole time, you know, since Age of Ultron, we've been like, she's a caretaker, you know, like she's a housewife. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a really hard job. You know, it's a very respectful job. But the fact that she could potentially be like a retired Shield agent on top of that now just makes her character that much cooler, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, with her being super smart, she has to be Velma, right?
Yo,
confirmed in the MCU.
Yo, I'll tell you now, guys. I literally found out yesterday that she was Velma.
Oh, really?
From the Scooby-Doo, from the 2003 or 2004 version. Yeah. I literally found that out Wednesday or yesterday, was it? I'm like, and I saw a clip and I saw her face from the show. I'm like, holy fuck! This is that meme. I was that. Did you just find out today? And I'm like, I literally just did find out today. That's right now. I literally found out she was Velma, and I'm like, holy fuck. So I used to have a crush on her, too.
I do remember when they show up at the house, Tony Stark says, she's a Shield agent. She's got to be.
Yeah, he's like, this must be an agent of some kind.
Yeah, he says that. So, and that would go back to Tony Stark being the all-knowing being that he is, because after Ray Apollo's,
oh my God, dude.
After the time travel thing that he pulled and all this other stuff, I'm just thinking like Tony Stark just knows everything. So,
and it's the other thing, like, Clint's so busy, and the type of work that he's in, where do you even meet people? At work.
Right. At work.
Right? So it's like,
and like, you meet people at work, or you meet people on the in your missions. And also I'll do some research. Who I think that Rolex used to belong to, if it wasn't Laura or Clint, it was Coulson, because he's also a person who carried a Rolex as well in the film. That's and true. Also in the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He carried a Rolex himself there. And Nick Fury used to put hidden messages in watches as well.
It could also be Fury's watch.
I was going to say that too.
Well,
could be Fury.
So it could be Fury watches, because like, I like what James brought up, because he beat me to the punch, because I was going to say that too, that, hey, God, I have a crazy theory. But guess what? It's not so crazy, because I'm glad that we all think of it. Because if her name actually comes out to be Bobby Laura Morse Barton, that would be fucking dope if it actually comes out to be the full and she's a Mockingbird. And because we technically have a Mockingbird in the Agents of Shield,
Don't you dare speak the name of that show.
but since Kevin Feige said that that's like a whole different universe, and like it just became its own thing. So I don't mind that. I don't mind if the retcon that, because that's an actual retcon in some type of way. So if that actually happens,
yeah, because I mean it's completely separate. Because I mean the Darkholds are different in each universe. Yep. Like it's not connected. It was kind of loosely, but different universe.
But if that actually happens, I'm totally fine with it. And that will make sense what Chris and James brought up. But like, yo, you're literally taking 3 kids and you're literally in the middle of nowhere. Like, we don't see no supermarket, no gas station, no nothing. We literally see a house and a whole big ass forest. So like, where the fuck are you? Like, where do you get your groceries? Does somebody
Quinjets just fly in supplies every couple of weeks?
Right?
I mean, like, maybe.
Most likely because she has a shield contact. Only certain people could come here, or she could only drive out of town. Because where do these kids go to school? I don't see no type of
they're
drive
homeschooled for sure.
Homeschooled, bro. 100%.
They're homeschooled for sure.
Or they're homeschooled for sure then. Because that'd be pretty interesting to see that theory that actually comes to fruition, that was Tony Stark made as a joke in Age of Ultron, saying, oh, she's a shield agent. And then watch 10 years later, holy fuck, she was a shield agent the whole fucking time. But we didn't know because we thought it was a joke because Tony Stark said it.
That would be awesome.
Who knows, man?
What if we found out all these jokes that Tony Stark has said all the time were just facts, and they just keep doing it just to fuck with us?
Nobody was listening to him at the time.
Steve, but any other thoughts on this?
Oh, no. My main thing is that I just was thinking Tony Stark might have been right about that. She's super smart, she's intelligent, so she definitely works or has some connection to Shield. Maybe she didn't just necessarily work directly with them, but maybe she just has a super connection to it. But she's definitely got something going with it, especially because she was able to figure out all that she figured out like quickly. You know what I'm saying?
She had her own contacts in order to investigate Sloan Limited, in order to know that it's a shell company. So she has her own connects. How? Because she used to be an agent.
Yeah. And plus about the scene itself. That, and plus also about the scene itself, I didn't get to mention, I love it as well. It's one of my favorite scenes because it shows their relationship more in depth, that they don't hide nothing between each other. So like they know how to communicate, they know how to speak coding, because when Laura was speaking, I'm like, what the fuck is she saying? But the Clint knew how to break it down through codes. I'm like, oh, they're speaking through codes because the kids are home.
Yeah, and the guy was jogging. He was, trying to learn Russian. It's like, that makes sense. Tracksuit, they're Russian. So it's like really good code. Like I thought that was really, really cool.
It makes sense. And then once girl, at first, I thought it was Russian, but then James said it was German. I'm like, okay, so she knows more than what she leads on. So even the kids aren't that dumb because they also notice that, okay, mama's turning to pops.
They know immediately.
So like it makes sense. So it makes sense these kids are more smarter than they seem because they have 2 shield agents parents from what it seems like.
People are always going on and on about Steve and Peggy. Steve and Peggy being the best relationship in the MCU. I'm telling you right here, guys. Clint and Laura, best relationship in the MCU.
Facts, bro.
They actually stay together. Don't have problems. They actually don't like each other as well.
She understood and accepted what he did as Ronin.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot, dude. That's a lot, man, for a marriage, for a family.
It is powerful because not to jump ahead, but I can't afford to talk about it. But Kate as well, like I respected her understanding. Like most people in that type of position will be like, "Wait, why did you do that?" But once he said, "I lost my family," like you lost, like, and he also already lost like a couple of his Avengers friends, so he already lost everybody. And once she understood, like, okay, like that's when she felt the devastation of why he did what he did. And he said, like, there's more that we'll get into it, but it's just Laura accepting, Kate understanding. It shows you that one bad day, anybody could go insane because of what you go through, and it shows.
Yeah, man.
To piggyback off of that, his best friend is Natasha. That shows how strong their relationship is. You're with Natasha every day.
True.
And I'm just like, yeah.
I've had girlfriends in the past that would not accept that.
Yeah. So I think that's another plus.
Facts, bro.
They'd be like, what now?
What does she look like?
Yeah, especially if she looks like Scarlett Johansson, bro.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah. Like, wait, that's your coworker that goes with you every day in your missions. You guys need to pretend you're couples, or you pretend that you need to do something, fight, kill. Okay, cool. I'm not jealous at all, babe. Not jealous at all.
Then
She's younger than me? What?
I think it was in Black Widow, but didn't she talk about her, Natasha and Clint, like they had to hang out in like a...
Yeah, they were
like
an air duct.
Yeah, an air
like
duct
air vent
for hours.
A week or something.
Yeah, right? Like...
You were how close? What?
Like 1 centimeter and getting kissed, make out, have a one night stand, nothing. Nah, nothing.
Why are you so hurt that she died? Why are you so hurt?
Why can't you let this go?
Because I killed thousands of people.
I'm still here.
It's been 5 years. Why are you still hurt?
But yeah, man, so we can get into that scene, because that's one of my favorite scenes. But real quick, like, so we cut back to Eleanor's house, and Kate's laying down on the couch, and I love this really, really quick exchange where Jack and Eleanor are talking, and Jack's talking about like how comfortable like she is around her idol, and he talks about like if he was around Huey Lewis, he'd be losing his mind. I would also lose my mind. I love Huey Lewis on the news, love those guys. But yeah, like I thought that was a really, really cool exchange between them. And then they talk about the importance of being around family for the holidays. And then that's where Kate gets the brilliant idea to go spend time with Clint. And I absolutely love this. So she brings pizza, some DVDs. I love that one of those DVDs was Die Hard. So now Kate and I can be best friends. You know what I mean? They're bonding. They're having a really good time. He's drinking this like slushy out of a Thanos was Wright mug. And they're having this great time watching these movies and everything. And this is something the MCU does really well at times, where they're able to take really, really great like humor and then just instantly switch it up, right? So Kate asks him, what was your best shot? And he was like, the one that I didn't take, right? And we instantly, us as fans, we know what he's talking about. He's talking about the fact that he was sent to kill Natasha in Budapest and decided not to because he could see in her eyes that she wanted out. And I love that during that conversation, we got the score from Endgame between the two of them on Vormir. So almost teared up,
a couple times in this episode. Yeah, almost teared up during that scene. But then it's just Jeremy Renner's acting and Haley Steinfeld's acting, right? Because he's telling her the story. She starts deducing, oh, you lost your family in the blip, didn't you? That must have been devastating. And thinking about how close he is to like wanting to close the loop on Ronan, you can see the look on her face when she figures it out. It's a look of acceptance, denial, where it's like understanding. You know what I mean? Because it's like he lost his best friend. Well, he lost his family, then he lost his best friend, got his family back, and now this like entire time that he spent as Ronin is coming back to haunt him. So I thought this was an incredible exchange between these two actors. So Chris, I want to start with you, and I want to know what you thought about that entire sequence, and let me know if you had any favorite moments. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to point out our favorite moments specifically toward the tail end of this episode, but this was my favorite moment out of the entire episode. And James, you talking about, you saying the MCU does this so well sometimes. I honestly think they only do it really well when it's moving in this direction, which is like comedy to tragedy, In films like Thor Ragnarok, you have tragedy that's undercut by comedy, and I don't think it works as well in those situations. But here, where you have this really lighthearted montage, Clint and Kate are really bonding with one another. They're becoming friends. He's teaching her how to do like cool tricks with ornaments and like how to kill people without arrows, basically. It's so much fun. They're both wearing like Christmas sweaters and doing all these like Christmas traditions. I absolutely love it. And then culminating in the sequence that you're talking about, this really heartfelt moment between the two of them. I just think it's expert acting on both of their parts, I just really, really dug this moment. I think you already spoke pretty eloquently about it, but yeah, it almost had me in tears. Just him, being in the moment and being really excited and like about to share the story with her, but then reminding himself that it's a story about Natasha, and then kind of getting upset about it, sad about it, and then reverting back to his introverted self. It's just really kind of sad, to be perfectly honest. That he has such a hard time opening up to people after this incident, but it makes perfect sense.
So was that the only one that was trying to do some tricks with the coin or with a Christmas ornament? Because I hope I wasn't the only one, because I was trying that at home actually. Like right
I
after
know
the
I'm
episode,
no
like,
Hawkeye. I didn't try.
No, I didn't try either.
That was really sick though, because I love the way that Kate baits him. He's like, you know what? I guess I'll just go tell a bunch of strangers that Hawkeye's full of shit, and then he just flips the ornament, turns off the radio and the TV in one shot. It's like that's some Hawkeye shit, man.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, cool. I guess Green Knight's not the best, but like you come.
Nah, I still want to put that to the test. I still think Ollie I still think Ollie would win.
Oh yeah, no. Ollie will win definitely.
I don't know about that.
Yes, Chris, I'm sorry. Green Arrow, Ollie will definitely.
I know you guys are huge Green Arrow fans, so I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna engage in this argument.
I read Hawkeye comics. I give Ollie that 55-60% chance of winning. Hawkeye will give him the rundown. I'll say that. But I give Ollie that small chance over.
They both have trick arrows, so who's to say who's going to win it? Speaking of trick arrows, though, I'm so happy that the boomerang arrow gets a call out.
Yes!
Because they replaced the boomerang arrow in last week's episode with a Pym arrow, which I'm not upset about.
Same.
I let out an audible gasp when I was watching that episode by myself. I was like, oh shit, as soon as I saw the Pym tip. But in the comic books, they end that whole sequence with a boomerang arrow. So I think it's so much fun that Kate at least brings it up. And they have this like fun discourse about like what would be the point of it. Like I would just have to dodge it. And like, it's just a lot of fun.
But what's funny about it that in the comic, Clint is the one that he's the one that brings it up. Kid's like, no, that's stupid. But I love how Kate is the one that brings the idea because of her being reckless and her trying to play around with the trick out. So I love how she's the one that brings it up.
With like all the gimmicks of
with all the tricks out.
And I've seen a few times they've switched roles from the comics and the actual TV shows, from what people have said.
But I feel like it just works better for the series because Clint's in the mentor role, right? It would make sense for Kate to be like, how super confident she is, how overconfident she is, for Hawkeye to be the older mentor that has to like bring her back to reality. So
for that exact reason, I like the small changes they've been doing. At first, like I said last week, I wasn't a big fan of it, but I've turned around and understand as a story and perspective, as a mental realm, I am understanding where they're going from. But for this scene, the whole Christmas tree, the whole montage, and with him being baited to show the trick that he does, and then Kate doing the first try she missed, doing the second try, and the third try, her just continue doing it, and then girl finally got it, and just seeing her excitement that she's getting better, and she's also the most happiest little kid inside right now because she's being trained by her idol. Yeah. She's just fully excited that she's being trained by her favorite Avenger. It ain't Steve Rogers, it ain't the Hulk, ain't the God of Thunder, it ain't Iron Man, the whole type of philanthropist, the playboy and everything. No, it's a guy with a bow and arrow who's dressed as purple and black, Hawkeye. So for her to be trained by him and just improving the skills and just bond, I just find that because it's such a human interaction, and that's my favorite. And just showing the emotions of him being as Ronin and just losing it, and just Kate expression saying that, hey, I understand, and like girl didn't get mad that she's taking me around with some type of murder or like nothing. She's actually understanding of why he murdered those people, and he said that he was trained to kill and cause pain, but it's because of what happened to Blip, and she understands that. So, and I hope we get some type of her reaction of what she went through the blip, because we haven't heard her response if she lost anybody or her friends or her family or friends from high school. So
Right.
we don't know her reaction from the blip, because it seemed like she was in blip. So it seemed like I wonder if she experienced anybody or any loss from that. So I'm curious to know about that as well.
Yeah. Steve, what are your thoughts on this scene?
So for we're still on the same scene with the conversation between the two of them and the flipping of the coin and everything
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Any of your
So
favorite moments, like biggest takeaways?
trying to freaking hit the dog, I was like, come on, man.
Poor pizza dog.
If you actually excel and do this right, you're gonna kill him. Like, I was like,
Dude, when I saw that, I was like, oh no, pizza dog.
I was like, please,
He's
don't.
dead.
And not named Pizza Dog yet, not yet. I think it will be like
True.
probably next episode or episode 6.
Oh man, but I was just like, what the heck? But I thought the whole coin flip thing was really dope, because there's like a couple instances in different like comics and like manga TV shows where they do the coin thing and they're flipping and they actually kill people with it and things like that. So I'm like, okay, they're bringing this into it. I didn't know anything about Hawkeye doing that, so I thought that was pretty cool. But just the training and the mentorship that you're getting, because like this whole thing in the first episode, we get Clint kind of just like wanting to do something Christmassy, like family oriented with his family and stuff like that. And there's parts in each episode where he's kind of bonding with her, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of giving those like, yeah, I'm not with family, but I'm building a Hawkeye family in a sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're kind of getting at, where he's like having these bonding moments, even though he's not doing the movie marathon and the Christmas sweater things that he wanted to do with his actual family. He's still having these bonding moments with her. So I thought that was pretty cool.
And it's just the thought that counts too. The fact that she paid that much attention, she remembered like specifically like what day movie day was. Like that kind of stuff is really touching to me, you know? And again, like the exchanges between them, like they were acting their asses off, bro, in that scene.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So Clint tells Kate, get some rest. There's a big day tomorrow. They wake up the next morning, and Clint wants Kate to go find the LARPers, which I love these guys. I think I would actually love to do this.
I do want to say, the scene before that, it was heartbroken that he took off his earpiece and was having flashback before him going to bed.
Oh yeah.
Of him seeing the scene of Natasha and him being as Ronin, him losing his family. Like, I love that. It reminded me of how Bucky, before he went to sleep, he had to go through some PTSD before going to sleep. It reminded me if Clint goes through that every night for him to actually fall asleep, because it's sad as fuck to actually think about it, but it shows that type of trauma and that type of realism of what he tries to sit through every night and understand that it's his life. He went through a blip, he lost his family, and he became Ronin, just killing people out there. So I feel like that was very sad as well.
Very, dude.
Definitely.
Like, seriously. But yeah, so he tells Kate to go see the LARPers. One of them is a cop, to get the rest of his like trick arrows out of evidence lockup. And then Clint goes to see Kazi, right? And he's trying to explain to Kazi, and I love this exchange between them. I love that he finds like all of his weapons. It's like, dude, this is Hawkeye. Of course he found your weapons.
Nice
Come on.
gun.
Do you think you're this
Like,
clever?
yeah, they already.
But yeah, so he's talking to Kazi and he's telling him, yo, like, we both know the big guy would not like all of this attention, right? And he doesn't want anyone else to get killed. And if she continues on this path, she might end up dead. More than likely, Kingpin might send someone to do it, because, I mean, she's bringing way too much attention, not only to the tracksuit mafia, but to organized crime in general. So I thought that was really, really interesting. So what did you guys think about that exchange between him and Kazi? Do you even like Kazi as a character? Like,
I do.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think he's entertaining.
He's entertaining, and also he's from the comic. But curious to see if he's, because in the comic he has a love interest with Kate. So, but most likely they're not gonna.
I don't know if they're gonna go that far.
Yeah, same here. I don't think they're gonna go that far, because he seemed like they have a love interest with with Maya most likely. So I'm curious to see if they're gonna go that route instead. But do you guys also think Hawkeye knows who's the big man? Like, do you guys know that
Of
Absolutely.
course
Hawkeye's
he
Kingpin,
does.
right?
Yeah,
Of course he does.
I think he had a run-in with the Kingpin as Ronin.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, me too. Like that's
Because
what
remember,
I think-
Ronin went after organized crime, not the tracksuits. Organized crime. Of course, he had
I think-
some kind of interaction with
I think
Kingpin.
those flashback fights are gonna lead to a Kingpin thing.
Okay, so like the Kingpin flashback doesn't blip. Damn, if he wasn't blip, then he must have made so much money in this organized crime. That makes so much sense.
Dude, imagine if Vanessa was blipped.
Holy
How pissed he would
fuck.
Yeah.
Yo.
Dude, that would have been a horrible 5 years for that organization.
Yeah.
It would have been so aggressive.
To say the least.
He would have
Jeez.
hit so many people in the car,
murdered,
in the
crushed
head,
so many skulls.
crushed so many
with
skulls.
car
with the,
doors.
he'd be like, well,
Sir, I brought you your coffee with cream. I didn't want the cream.
To the car.
Bring my vehicle around.
I need a new vehicle. Bring vehicle number 36.
Oh, man. Yeah, that would have been awful
I
for
think
everybody
the-
involved
I
in
think
that
the
crime family.
flashbacks that Clint's having, where he's like beating people up and stuff like that, in those flashbacks, I think one of the flashbacks will lead to a Kingpin thing, and then that'll be.
I
Well,
think
we'll
that would
see.
be a cool way to do the introduction, or he shows up to the Bishop Gala thing that they're doing. That's supposed to happen in episode 5. I think that would be the perfect place for him to show up, but I wouldn't mind a flashback. I think that would be really cool too.
Mm.
You know what I
And
mean?
do both. You know,
Or both.
He could appear in present day, and then we could get a flashback with him.
Oh, yeah,
interacting
as soon as
with
he
Ronin.
sees him, he starts going, "Oh shit, that's the guy that
Oh,
whipped
shit.
my ass."
Yeah.
And he's like, and they do the flashback.
So we get back to the safe house. All of the cops, the firefighters, the LARPers, they're all at the safe house. And I love this. I love that some of these characters are actually like weird, like one-off, like Hawkeye villains from the comics. I thought that was fucking dope. And
That was a
I
lot of
love
fun.
that this is how we know that Kate and Clint are going to get new costumes.
Yeah,
Right? Like
because they
we've
said,
seen the
"You have a fair
person that's
deal."
going to make them. So I thought that was really, really cool.
I love it.
And then Clint gets the text from Laura letting him know I found the coordinates from the watch. It's at this address. Only to find out later that's Maya's place. So they go there, and again, like the banter between Kate and Clint, right? It's so good. Like he's talking out the plan. She's already gone, right? So I love that
Good
that
and
entire
patient.
yeah, I
And
love that
patient as fuck.
that entire exchange.
Dude, I knew people like her growing up. It's crazy.
Same. It's like you will set out a play. Hey guys, let's do this. But then a person that was supposed to listen literally left and did something else and want stuff that we used to do. It's like this bitch just got me fucking tight. I just set a whole plan, and like Hawkeye literally said let's wait and observe what's to happen. She just couldn't wait. And got her girl was almost getting her ass kicked because not paying attention.
She thinks that she's showing initiative. She thinks that if she shows initiative to her hero, he'll be more accepting of the fact that they're partners, right?
She just caused him PTSD. Literally by seeing herself falling off the building. It
Oh
gave
god,
her
I can't wait to talk
PTSD.
about that. Oh man,
Yeah.
that almost broke me. Like just watching Clint actually have to relive that. But Kate gets into the apartment. She hits the silent alarms with the putty arrows. I love that we got to see those again. And then we actually see a notepad that has Clint's wife and kids' names on this notepad. So it's like, Steve, I want to start with you. Who do you think Maya got that information from? I mean, do you think that it came from Kingpin? Do you think it came from Val? Does Maya have her own connection to Val? Who knows? So, Steve, I want to start with you. What do you think?
So I'm thinking that they got the information from Val. For this reason, because of the fact that Val got Yesenia to go there. She knows all the information on her and things like that. So I'm thinking that Val may have given that information to her. I think that's where it was leading up to, and then it's kind of giving a callback to why not a callback, but a flash forward to we're about to see Yesenia in the next scene or whatever like that. So it's kind of like we know that Hawkeye is being hunted down, and the person that has probably the most information on them is Val and Kingpin possibly. But yeah, I'm thinking it is Val in that situation for that one, for sure.
Vash, what about you?
Maybe it's Eleanor. She did say, you have a family, right? Right? You got kids, right? So maybe she look up the information with her, with the security research that like once you put somebody's name, somehow you find out their whole social security number, you find out where the
Beyond
location at,
invasive,
it's like damn,
Hey, and that's what it's like in real life too. So it's invasive. Yeah.
It's like damn, some people trying to use the bathroom, but just say, hey, this person's right here in stall number 3. I'm like, god damn, like there's no privacy out here. So my guess is Eleanor. They gave the information to Maya because we're still assuming that she's part of the organized crime and everything. So she's probably higher up in one of the councils of villains out there for the organized crime. So maybe is her herself, Eleanor. Could be Val, but I feel like Val has her own type of connections with Yelena coming out here in the next scene and everything. So my guess is definitely Eleanor.
Chris, what about you?
Vash and I are on the same page. I think that it's probably Eleanor. And I'm kind of thinking here on the fly, but earlier when we were having the conversation about who Eleanor was on the phone with, we didn't even consider Maya as an option. Like if the show is being contained within with the characters that they've shown us already, Eleanor could have been on the phone with Maya, which shows, because we do know that she has some involvement, or we speculate that she has some involvement with the Tracksuit Mafia, considering that Sloan Limited is a shell corporation for the Tracksuit Mafia. So she could have been on the phone with Maya, asking her to take care of it, and it could be that the interaction with Yelena is just coincidentally timed in that moment, where like Yelena is carrying through with her mission to kill Clint, the mission she was sent on by Val, and Maya's also interacting with Kate inside her apartment simultaneously. So that could have been just a coincidence. I'm going to throw that out there as a possibility as well. But definitely, I think it makes sense considering every time we've seen Kate interact with, her mom's company, they can do research like that, find that information super easily. So I think Vash is right in saying that it's probably Eleanor that she got that information from.
Yeah, you guys made some really good points. Yeah, we'll see how everything unfolds. But I love the fight between Yelena and Clint. I thought that was dope. Watching Maya and Kate fight, like Maya's really strong, dude. Like she's really strong. So I can't wait to see more of Maya. So the Yelena reveal got spoiled for me on the timeline, right? So it's just like when I saw that they were fighting, I was like, well, I knew Yelena was going to show up because on IMDb she was scheduled for 3 episodes and we only had 3 episodes left. So I was like, I knew she was going to show up at some point. Didn't know it was going to be that exact moment, but it got spoiled for me on the timeline. So
damn.
I did like that fight. I do like it's like a really quick reaction from Clint when Maya gets hit with the widow stingers.
Yeah, the widow
when he realizes like, oh shit, this is a widow assassin, right? For
I love
2
that
seconds,
they're red instead of blue as well.
Right.
That they're a different color. That's great.
Yeah, so I really love the fights between the two. Kate throwing that sonic arrow, that was really cool to see. Yet another trick arrow. That was really, really dope. So I kind of want to go around because there's a lot going on in that scene. So Vash, I want to start with you. Kind of want to know, like, what were some of your favorite moments from that final fight between Kate, Maya, Yelena, and Clint?
I love the action sequence between all 4 of them. I love how they're taking turns. Clint held his own against 2-on-1. Kate was struggling against Maya or Yelena. So I love how both of them were trying to struggle. I'm sorry. Kate was struggling against both of them. It gave that, like, she has skills, but she ain't ready yet. She still needs to be trained. Okay, that's what she's with Hawkeye and everything. And with Yelena, like, nothing. I'm surprised that she was giving the work to Hawkeye, but she was giving the work to Hawkeye because she literally was putting him down. And Clint could have held his own, but he was also trying to take care of Kate at the same time. So he was kind of multitasking to save his life. So it was entertaining, but I love the camera shots as well, that they focus on both the actors in a wide shot, but they also try to keep her. They also try to keep it self-contained as well.
Yeah, Steve.
I enjoyed the zip line where she got stuck halfway.
So funny.
I thought that was funny, and the whole time that's happening, I'm like, why don't you just cut the zip line and kill her? Like, but I was like, oh yeah, Disney, you can't do that. But she got stuck on the zip line. I thought that was funny. But then I enjoyed the whole fight scene in general when they first get there and Maya starts to fight with the Yelena a little bit. And then you kind of come to that realization like, oh, they're not working together. It's kind of just like it's just an old battle royale. Like everybody's just out there fighting. They're both after Clint, but they're after Clint for different reasons. So they're trying to accomplish their own missions or whatever. And I was just like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool that it's every man for himself kind of up here for the most part. So I thought that was really dope too. And then the first, the initial time where we see the spider bites, the Black Widow bites or whatever. And I was all like, okay, that's cool. So yeah, there was a couple of scenes in there. There was a lot of action. There was a lot going on. But like I enjoyed all of it. Like just the whole like battle royale style that they was having, the Royal Rumble that they kind of just had up there.
Chris, what about you? What's some of your favorite moments and biggest takeaways from the third act fight?
You guys have already mentioned a lot of really great moments. And I, truth be told, already knew Yelena was going to be in this episode before I watched it. But I do really like the way that they were sprinkling these little breadcrumbs throughout the choreography of the fight to give the viewer hints that, yeah, this is Yelena Belova. Like we see the Widow bites, like we were talking about. She does a superhero pose like Natasha in the middle of the fight, which is really cool because like in the movie, which took place, years before this, she was making fun of Natasha for that. But now that Natasha has passed, she's kind of adopted it as like maybe this loving thing to remember her by,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just speculating on that. I'm projecting there. But I just really like this progression leading all the way up to her mask getting pulled off and the final reveal that it's Yelena. I just thought it was really well done.
And my bad to jump in there. When she actually rescues her and she puts the zip line on, she attaches it to her when she flips her over. I thought that was really cool. I was all like, oh, okay, so she's not just out here just being relentlessly about to, kill whoever's in her way. She's like,
yeah, she's only there for one person.
Yeah, right. So I thought that was really dope too, that she kind of just like let her kind of be safe.
I love that.
Yeah, I it's the parallels for me, man. Like the parallels with some of the biggest stuff, like, cause when Yelena throws Kate over the building, Clint's like, no, cause he thinks he lost yet another person that he was just getting close to, and then when he sees that she's fine, it's like, you know what, Eleanor was right. I can't do this. Like I can't put her life in danger, right? Cause I mean, Natasha was one of the best. Seriously. She was straight up human. No fancy. Well, she did have some fancy tech, but like nothing on like Iron Man levels, right? Like she's not superhuman.
And I'm pretty sure there was a little bit of enhancement in the Red Room program, wasn't there?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. Not
like
even.
There was like there wasn't no type of super soldier type.
Yeah, but she's not a super soldier. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
she's
it's
still
like
mostly human. Yeah.
With all of her skills, it just made her so special. And yeah, just in that moment, again, Jeremy Renner doing incredible acting. Was like, you know what, get out of here, and then he just cuts the rope, right?
And
then there's this
right there too.
Yeah, that's the same score from Vormir, right? And then we get this other parallel between when Clint was telling Kate, the shot that I didn't take, and that's the moment again between Kate and Yelena, right, where she feels like she should have taken that shot. But she saw something in Yelena's eyes. Have no idea what it is. But she saw something in Yelena that made her not want to take the shot. And then Yelena takes off. Vash, what are your thoughts on it?
So, at first, I thought it was like a cute type of flirtatious, like, hey, don't swing or something like that. So, at first, that's what I thought. But then watch the scene again. And then I still actually, so what the fuck was that nod or smirk? Like, what did I mean? Like, was that like, hey, don't shoot, I'm here for a reason?
Just like a don't even try it.
That too. So
yeah, that's what I thought of initially. I was like, you don't want this drama. Don't even bother.
Yeah, like that's what my
I will fuck you up. I saved you, but I will fuck you up.
So that's what my institution was like. Damn. So it's not flirtatious. Most likely, like, yo, bitch, if you that's gonna swing that arrow at me, I'm gonna come here hard on you as well. So like, and then she dipped. So I'm like, most likely that was the case. But if it also was a little flirtatious type of little smirk, I wouldn't mind either because she's so adorable. But I'm like, I'm here for whichever a little aggressive type of attitude or flirtatious type of attitude. I don't mind whichever.
Yeah, man, but I thought the episode ended, and just Clint's look at the end of the episode, where it's like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, I only said those things to try to save your life. I said those mean things to get you to leave because I'm trying to save your life, and you can tell just how hurt he is by having to send her off, but
Absolutely.
somewhere he knows he's doing the right thing. You know what I mean?
I definitely felt like she didn't take that shot, partially because like she could tell that Clint recognized her a little bit, and then also she just saved my life. So she kind of has that like mentality that maybe she's not that bad of a person. So maybe
That's true too.
that's maybe why she didn't take that shot as well.
That's true too. Yeah, man. This episode was personally my favorite of the 4 episodes so far. I can't wait to see where it goes from here. I believe in episode 5 there may be potentially some Yelena like flashbacks because she's in like her old like costume, Black Widow costume or whatever. So I can't wait to see how that goes. So let's go around the panel real quick. And I want to know like any like final thoughts on this episode, any favorite moments, any Easter eggs that we didn't talk about. So Chris, I want to start with you. Just get like final thoughts, anything like that on the episode.
I really liked it. It wasn't my favorite episode of the season. 3 still holds that as my favorite episode just because of how fun it was. But I really, really enjoyed this episode. And the emotional beats of the episode were incredibly strong, as we've talked about here. And I think that's going to be what stands out about this show, how human it makes Hawkeye, the emotional interactions between him and Kate Bishop. And I'm just really excited to see how the show progresses. I'm happy to be back at the street level of the MCU. I love the cosmic stuff. I love the supernatural stuff. But these street level stories are always a ton of fun.
Man,
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see more of Echo and Herschel because we know that she ain't gonna die most likely unless they do some type of Echo flashback. Then all right,
Yeah.
cool. But if we get to more of this Echo and Charlie Cox involved with Echo, they also have a love relationship in the comics too. So if Charlie Cox comes back as Daredevil for her show, and then a little spin-off for Daredevil season 4, or it depends how they're gonna retcon everything or not retcon, season 1, who knows. So I agree with Chris. I'm on the same boat. Street level shit. This is what I like, and human type of emotions, interaction. Like, yeah, it's nice to see the whole world vanishing, blip and everything, but it's nice to see some actual street level shit that doesn't involve some bees, Green Arrow, and poor seasons 4 and 5 out here. I mean, season 3 and 4, and we actually have some nice, solid one season of great episodes, of entertaining ones.
Steve, what about you? Any final thoughts? Any other favorite moments you want to talk about?
I like the Daredevil Echo crossover, like a deco. But yeah, for this episode, I really enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed, like, even like from the very opening scene, like it was literally the last scene, but it was just from a different perspective. So he had the sword kind of pointed at Clint, but it was showing it from the camera view of his angle rather than from Clint's angle at the end of the episode. So I just little camera things that they did, things like that. I just really just overall am ready to see the Kingpin. Like, I know this
Next week, man.
I know it's coming, and
It
it's
has
like,
to, right? I swear to God, if it's a Ralph Boner thing, I'm gonna be so pissed.
Do you guys
Right?
do you guys think they're gonna promote it before the episode come out, or do you think that once the episode has been aired around probably 3 p.m. in the afternoon, they will promote like a picture once some people have seen it already?
Nah, I mean, and they usually don't even drop character posters until like 2 to 3 days after the episode drops. So I don't.
Okay.
I don't see that happening.
yeah. So even if they don't do it episode 5, which I think that they should, my main thing is they'll do it episode 5, but I feel like they could wait till episode 6, and it'd be more of a like a Jonathan Majors Loki situation where it's like the finale, the Big Bang. You know what I'm saying? Let's show
Yeah.
this quick reveal or whatever. So
When Trin Tran was interviewed about the show, didn't she started to say like, I can't wait for you to see the episode, or so, like there was like an F to it, so like it could have been episode 4, could have been episode 5, or could be the finale, but we don't really know. So
Okay.
you could be right, Steve, that it might not be next week. It could be episode 6, but
it could be like he walks in and then you see like his Arthur fist, where it's just the bottom half of his body, and you're gonna, oh, I wonder who it's gonna be. Like
if they do that, I'd be like, don't blue balls us. Yo, Marvel, MCU, don't blue balls. Like, we know who this bottom half is. Can you just give us a whole half?
Right? Like, it's Vincent D'Onofrio. Stop playing with us.
Yeah, it could be
And
like
plus,
a misspelling.
I just love with the director of the show, because he even said himself that he spoke to Kevin Feige in one of the interviews, I think like 2 weeks ago with Deadline, I believe it was, and they said that he spoke to Kevin Feige saying that he wants to bring a couple people to the shows, and Kevin Feige told him that yes, no, no to these people. And then he asked him why. I'm like, oh, because I have plans for these other people to turn up in other properties. And now that we have the full confirmation of Charlie Cox, I'm like, also maybe he was trying to bring Charlie Cox in the Hawkeye show, but Kevin Feige said no, not him there. He's gonna be somewhere else. And I'm like, okay, so I wonder who else he said yes to, and I wonder who else he said no to that we're gonna see in the next future properties of the MCU now. So that has me curious to know that Kevin Feige already has plans to put the seeds of such characters from the Netflix universe and other shows that has been made that has been canceled. So curious to see what other properties will be, because please bring back Ghost Rider. I know Shield, I know whatever the fuck you think about it, but Ghost Rider, I forgot the character name that he played, but he did such a good job as a Ghost Rider in the car. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Robbie
Reyes.
Yeah.
Robbie Reyes. Man, he did such a good job as Ghost Rider.
That was,
I really want him
Gabriel Luna.
Does Gabriel Luna, yeah. And I feel like he did such a great job. So hopefully Kevin Feige could bring him back. Like, this would be a great addition to the Blade universe and everything else they're gonna do with the dark stuff of the MCU. So
I want Norman Reedus to be Johnny Blaze. That would make me so happy to have Norman Reedus be Johnny Blaze.
I just want Gabriel Luna to be back as Robbie Reyes. Like, at least have him as that iteration, because we have had 2 Ghost Riders before, so like in one run. So I don't care if there's 2 Ghost Riders, but I just want him to get that role back because he did such a good job. And now with more money from the Disney Plus / MCU money, those effects are going to look amazing in that car and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this episode was incredible. I just love how like all of these Disney Plus shows have been fire. Like, there haven't been any misses for me yet. Like, of course, there might be like 1 or 2 things here and there in like a random episode that I might not care for. But it's like, as far as overall series, like, they've been so consistent, so amazing. Very excited for the Miss Marvel series. I can't wait to see what that's gonna be. So that's gonna be dope. But very excited to see what's gonna happen in episode 5. There were some clips where it kind of looked like they get their new costumes, like maybe towards the end of the episode in episode 5. So I can't wait to see that. But yeah, man, really great episode. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on the panel. Chris,
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, man, it's always great to have you on the show. You always bring such great knowledge.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man, like I told you a million times, I wish I could just steal you from Pop-O-Holics. Just kind of
why wish we could, just take him. It's not that hard. Just grab him out.
Right. No, but they're doing incredible things over at Pop-O-Holics. Like, I love seeing the growth on the YouTube channel right now, and I love seeing all of the episodes that you guys are doing on the audio only feeds. So Chris, why don't you tell the people where they can find you online and find Pop-O-Holics and everything you guys got going on?
You can find me multiple places. You can find us on Twitter at Pop-O-Holics. As James mentioned, we now have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Pop-O-Holics. It's a custom URL. We finally hit the 100 subscriber mark. So thanks to everybody who helped us do that. Where else? You can also find us on your favorite podcast player of choice. We're on all of them. Just search for Pop-O-Holics. And then me personally, you can find me at Chris Conkling on Twitter, talking about all things nerdy, of course. So yeah, we'll see you guys there.
Yeah, Steve, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can follow me on all social media at Scuba Steve 1428. Follow the InMob page. When you follow the InMob page, there's a link tree to everyone's content, whether it be their Twitch content, their other streams and things that they're doing. Follow Osa and Abe. Follow everything that these guys are doing. Monaka Mixer as well, and the Blerd Shop. Get some stuff from the Blerd Shop. But yeah, follow me, Scuba Steve 1428.
Yeah, Vash.
For you to find me as that legendary Vash, Sean and Ronan podcast every Sunday afternoon. Live reaction with myself and Sam on the Twitch side, twitch.tv/anime lately. C4SVillains, continue subscribing, continue liking. There's a lot of future stuff that we're gonna be doing. And animated podcast every Thursday nights, every evening. So definitely check that out. The reaction reviews is always up in the air. I'll be on vacation on December 17th, so who knows what happens. If you want us to steal Chris, definitely comment down below or tweet us. Don't forget at C4 Spoilers, steal Chris from Pop-O-Holics right there. Just tag it and put a hashtag too. Steal Chris right there, the hashtag for you.
You guys can follow me all over social media at JB Exclusive. On my personal Twitter, I talk about comics, talk about movies, of course. I'll talk about TV shows as well. But if you want to find absolutely everything that we do, just go to carefulwithspoilers.com. We have a full recap list of all of the winners from the Game Awards last night. You can find all of the trailers all in one spot on the website as well. Check out Steve's latest article, Comedians, Hollywood's Hidden Gems. Really, really great article. Just talking about starts off as like a non-spoiler review for Netflix's True Story, but it also goes into how well comedians do in dramatic performances and just performances in general in media. So really, really well written. Check that out. Also, like I said in the beginning, check out the articles that Chris did for us as well. Spider-Man One More Day non-spoiler review, and of course the Hawkeye review by Matt Fraction. Check that out as well. Next week, we'll be doing a full review of the Flash Armageddon 5-part event on December 17th. And then on December 20th, we're going to be doing a full spoilers review live on the YouTube channel on Spider-Man No Way Home. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then we'll decide what we want to do for the rest of the month, right?
I'm going to just say Reverse Flash is a bitch. He's a sore loser.
Hey,
the GOAT. I think you meant to say GOAT.
No. He's a GOAT for what he did. But I'm not just say he's a sore ass loser because I finally saw
really
this episode, and he's a bitch. I'm gonna say it with my chest. I'm gonna say it and scream it. Next Friday we review.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Hell.
Steve, trust me, I love it. But once episodes of Armageddon, you understand what he did, and I will say he's a bitch. I'm gonna say it so many times.
Classic Thon. That's
classic.
all I can say. Classic Thon.
Like even Damien Dark even said it. Oh, he good. Yes, Damien Dark, he good.
Chris, are you caught up on the Flash right now?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Okay.
Which
you should just watch these 5 episodes of Armageddon. Just watch it.
I might have to check them out. I stopped watching the Flash around season 3. So
okay, you're good.
In fact, I kind of gave up on all the CW shows, so but I might have to check out some episodes or.
Just watch these 5 episodes.
Just wiki.
Do not feel lost.
Just wiki what happens in 4, 5, and 6. It's not worth it.
I'll check it out.
7 is worth watching just so you can see what leads into 8. But yeah, just wiki what happens in 4, 5, and 6. It's not worth it.
Chris, watch the last episode of season 7. You gotta watch the Star Wars episode. It's so good.
Oh God, stop it. Anyways, that's where we're gonna end the show, guys. Again, check us out next week. Like I said, we'll be reviewing all the first 5 episodes of the Flash Armageddon. I would like to do a separate episode so that we can cover Hawkeye, the last 2 episodes before the year ends, but stay tuned on Twitter. We're gonna have all of the updates there. But yeah, guys, again, chat, thank you so much for watching. Guys on the panel, thank you so much for being here. I will see you guys on the next one.